on top of the game.
Contrails.
Oh. And it's like Trump.
I got Trump. What happened?
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Secretive organization known as Anonymous, a loose-knit group of computer hackers who came to the defense of WikiLeaks and got the attention of law enforcement in the process. They are young and stealthy, and they are potential giant killers.
Anonymous hacker activists have basically gotten together and are exacting revenge for what they see as attacks on WikiLeaks, and they're targeting a number of corporations that have cut off their ties with WikiLeaks.
So they see themselves as protesters. Essentially that the government can't prevent you or I from talking openly. They interpret it much more broadly. They believe that everybody has an inalienable right to say whatever they want on any form whatsoever.
And now today, this group of computer hackers are apparently threatening cyber war over this WikiLeaks case. What do you know about that?
Yeah, NBC is reporting that Anonymous, it's a group we've heard of before, is threatening new attacks not only on U.S. Corporations, but also
Number one story,
government
MasterCard
officials.
announced Monday it would no longer process payments to WikiLeaks. This morning, internet activists crashed its website. This afternoon, Visa.com crashed. Tonight, Twitter might be next. It suspended an Operation Payback account. The group calling itself Anonymous has been waging Operation Payback for a few months now. The group says it is dedicated to a, quote, anonymous, decentralized movement that fights against censorship and copy wrong.
Copy wrong. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Smith Radio. Your host, Brian Smith, and
Kerry Smith.
And WikiLeaks is our supporter for this hour. I believe Anonymous will be on hour 2. Maybe not.
Nah, just Guccifer. He'll be on. Nah.
If you want to be a part of the show, you've got
anybody could call in and claim their Guccifer, right?
No, nobody would do that. There's no cheating on this show. If you want to be a part of the show, give a call, 513-888-1538. Again, the phone number is 888-1538. Oh, area code 513. We're in a bunker in Cincinnati, ground zero, if you will, of the voter fraud, voting. Cincinnati votes. Hamilton County literally changes the entire state to go
we are
whichever
ground
way.
Zero of presidential politics, and that was pretty much exposed in the book Going Red by Ed Morrissey, who points out that there are 7 counties in the entire country of over 3,000 counties who essentially elect the President of the United States. Hamilton County, Ohio, is one of them. I would contend that's probably the most important one because of the fact that Ohio as a state is definitely one of the most important states, if not the most important state, because Republicans can't win without winning it, and Democrats know this, so it's always a battle here. As a matter of fact, I think Pence is in Ohio if he's not here already, he's definitely here tomorrow. And Trump is also coming. Cleveland. I think Trump and Pence will be in Cleveland tomorrow. So Ohio is definitely a big state. Hamilton County, though, which is the county that Cincinnati is in, just happens to go blue when the state goes blue, and it goes red when the state goes red. So there's this belief that Hamilton County causes that, and I think that the argument for that theory is very valid because of just, it's like we're the bellwether of the whole state, and the state of Ohio is the bellwether of the United States when it comes to presidential politics. And if you want to follow us, make sure you do that at Smith Radio, SMYTH. Don't forget the Y in there, RADIO. And we got things going on Twitter big time. I'm on there constantly putting up new posts and retweeting all the most important things that you need to know. And why is this important? It's because the mainstream media, the place where a majority of the American population have gotten their news from for the past 20, 30, 40 years, is now in major flux. What we have now is the places that have been traditionally reliable news sources are now completely untrustworthy, to the point now where if they're saying something that sounds like a fact or a conclusion, it's either a lie or just completely false and misleading you purposely in order to advance a narrative that is essentially trying to drag the population in a direction that they want it to go, regardless of whether or not it's right or wrong or true or false. So that's what we're dealing with here. So Smith Radio is one of the, I would say, a branch of this tree of knowledge, the new tree of knowledge in America that gets you the real news. You have your Smith radios. You have the Your Voice radio. You have Mike Cernovich, who considers himself, I would consider, he's like the ground reporter of this movement of new media that is getting you the facts that you can't get anywhere else, it seems like. You got Ames from whatever her website is. I'm sorry, I don't have that right now. I don't know why I can never remember the name of hers. If I can find it. Can't find it. Jim Hoft, he is the Gateway Pundit. He's definitely getting out a lot of... He's the one that Bill Mitchell actually said was the place he goes first for his news. And mainly it's because when news breaks, he comes out with these little articles on breaking news, and they come out immediately, right?
Right.
Immediately. Like I never really paid attention because I'm usually following like Mike Cernovich and all this kind of stuff. And turns out Jim will come out with an article within 30 seconds of breaking news. He'll just type something up real quick.
Right. And I've used Jim Hoff's articles. I've used Gateway Pundit for years since we've been doing this show. For years as show prep, as go-to information. Not only that, but it's been amazing. The articles that he'll write can be might sometimes be very outlandish and kind of crazy, and you're like, what? I gotta fact check this. Do it. Fact check it. He's always right.
Right.
Literally, him and Donald Trump are the two people that are always right all the time.
Right. And we try to. We report people that we find to be correct. So that's what we do here at Smith Radio. So you're going to get the real news from us. Viva la Ames. That's who I was thinking of. Ames is on Twitter at Viva la AMES. And she has a great website that you will find all kinds of great stuff that's truthful on her. She has a huge following too. Truthfeed.com. That's what she runs. Truthfeed. So you'll get that from her. And Prison Planet.
Yeah, Prison Planet.
My goodness.
I'm absolutely in love with. I got a man crush on
Paul Watson. You just like
Paul
his accent.
Watson.
You just like his accent. So if you're the type of guy or girl that likes to get a lot of news from YouTube, you definitely want to be following him on YouTube.
Oh, put him on notifications.
Oh, absolutely.
His he'll come out with just a couple of minute, like a 3-4 minute clip.
Mm-hmm.
This week he came out with just a couple of minute. I think it might have been 3 minutes, and I've got the soundbite where he literally. It was an epic rant destroying.
He's the king of ranters.
Oh yeah, just absolutely destroying mainstream media, Clinton Inc., and all the above. For not covering the James Okeef video and for continuing to talk about morning, noon, and night, talking about Donald Trump and his posse.
You mean his group of people?
Yeah, his posse. Yeah.
Okay.
So
I thought it was Kitty Cat. But...
Wait, he rounded up his posse.
I gotcha. Then that's kind of another way to say it, right?
He started grabbing them all.
So Paul Joseph Watson, he's an InfoWars guy. I don't know where they found this diamond in the rough, but man, they really hit a home run by hiring him flat out.
Oh yeah.
So
no doubt.
InfoWars. Anybody who is hired by works for InfoWars, definitely follow them. Believe it or not, you want to talk about mainstream media. The only person that I can think of, two people who I would consider famous who are part of this truth movement. One would be Sean Hannity.
Absolutely.
And the other one would be Lou Dobbs.
And again, Sean Hannity, the only one to interview James Okeef.
Well,
I played the video.
Bill Mitchell did.
Well, no, I'm sorry. I mean, but I know Bill Mitchell's got a huge following on the net. However, Hannity
He's
is
the first
on
big, famous one to do it.
He is on MSM. He's the mainstream media.
Yeah,
he's in there.
And James Okeef, I was listening to the interview. He thanked Sean for getting his name out there so big that it forced CNN to comment on his videos. There was a media blackout on James O'Keefe's videos.
And if you don't know the videos, we're talking about.
Absolutely. We were talking about this before the show. We're not going to play much of his videos because, and I know it happened Monday. Our show's on Sunday. His video came out on Monday. And so this is the first show we've had since they've broke. It seems like a million years ago, doesn't it?
It does. And there's titled, because it's an undercover video, you can read the subtitles to see what they're saying.
Right. And so it's probably better to watch the videos than for us to sit here and try to play them because they
Absolutely.
might be a little hard to hear. But here's the thing. When they first came out, the first person I heard even mention anything about it was when Bill Mitchell said, I'm really disappointed that those videos aren't catching traction. And so I said, whoa, which videos are you talking about? So I went to go, and that's when I finally saw them, which was like the next day or maybe later on the same day, whatever it was. So I was like, wow, that's a shame. Well, guess what? Then Bill Mitchell interviewed James Okeef, and then I think that finally got the ball rolling, and traction started happening. And then finally, by the end of the week, you have Sean Hannity interviewing him, and then all hell broke loose. And yeah, so that's good. We want that kind of stuff to come out. So if you don't know, which everybody knows, he had two different videos. The one was proof that the DNC is behind the violence in Chicago, and presumably, he didn't prove this, but presumably, obviously, San Jose. But the Chicago riots that happened during the primary when Trump tried to have a rally there and all hell broke loose, turns out, because I thought it was odd. Didn't you think it was odd? He has rallies all over the country.
Right.
And they're happening back to back to back to back, all over the place, nonstop. There's no break in between these rallies. And all of a sudden, Chicago happens, and the reaction to the people in Chicago was very strange. You had just widespread violence, and some of the cops seemed to either be caught flat-footed or maybe possibly even ordered to allow it to happen. But then later on that day, a cop was pretty badly injured.
Right.
He had blood coming out of his face. I actually forgot about the cop that was injured until Trump brought it up at his debate. He said cop got injured.
Right.
I forgot about
said
it.
Said it, and there was a debate a few days ago, which
we'll talk about that.
Long time ago, and the media doesn't want you to know about that either because it was a one-handed, one-sided. In my opinion,
he won. Yeah.
In my opinion, it was a clear, decisive beatdown. Frank Luntz and his focus group. Frank Luntz is
we're going to expose Frank Luntz today.
However, his focus group did say it was all about Trump. It was not all about Trump.
It was
Trump
14
won.
to 12. He counted them up. It turns out 14 of his panel said Trump won, and 12 said that Hillary won. 14 to 12. So, according to his panel, I think that if you were supporting Hillary or you hated Trump, you're a never Trumper guy, whatever. I think that you could believe that Hillary won.
Really?
I'm doing the out-of-body experience right now.
I didn't get that because
I'm totally putting my feet in the shoes of a Hillary supporter and reliving the debate through the eyes of a moron. I mean, a Hillary supporter. And I could see that you could just believe that she won. However, and here's the reason. I think that he fell down some of the same problems and pitfalls that he did in the first debate. I think he did a lot better than he did first debate.
Well, he was attacked. He was ganged up on less, I think.
Right. But I think
like Chris Wallace.
Here's my point. My point is that the second debate was the biggest one-sided beatdown in presidential debate history.
Well, yeah, because the one moderator, the female, she literally
had to
started lobbing hand grenades. Oh yeah, she's like, Hillary's not doing what I know she needs to do, so I'm going to do it for her. Like she went beyond Candy Crowley and started giving Donald Trump No, you don't understand, Mr. Trump. The military will do this for various reasons. It could be for this reason or this reason. There's reasons why
She just started debating him.
I was like, whoa!
Right. Well, Candy Crowley, who is
Notorious.
one of the most shameful people in American history. She should go down as an enemy of the state, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So she tried to she actually interrupted the debate in order to fact check Romney, and she was wrong. There needed to be a fourth person that needed to chime in and said, excuse me, Candy Crowley, Mrs. Crowley, you're actually wrong about that fact check that you just did there. So that's what happened with Candy Crowley back in 2012, which was just disgustingly shameful. Since then, everybody wants to be the next Candy Crowley. And it got to the point where in the second debate, it went beyond fact-checking and straight into the realm of, I don't care what y'all are doing, I'm butting in. I don't care if you guys are running for president or not.
Right.
I'm here and I am putting my 2 cents in.
No, it was way over the top.
So the second one was like, it should be and by the way, I think the Frank Luntz focus group not only had a landslide victory for Trump in the second debate, but also a whole bunch of people who were going to vote not Trump or somebody other than Trump had been converted to voting Trump. A whole bunch of people. And even Frank Luntz said it's unprecedented. So anyway.
And I retweeted Frank Luntz's tweets throughout the debate night, and almost every one of Frank Luntz's tweets were positive in a way towards Trump.
Right. But he has since gone down the dark side. Must be getting paid. You know, there's two things going on
Somebody
here.
took him to the woodshed and said, yo, bro.
There's two things going on here, in my opinion. The one is that the DNC, loaded with money from all over the planet. I'm talking George Soros, Saudi Arabia, a whole bunch of rich people all over the world, huge corporations. There's money to spend, and people can be bought, and I think people either A, would like some money, or B, have been paid and have to come through. Okay.
Oh, they've already received the money. They now need to.
Well, yeah, if they
bone up on.
They can't be in breach of contract, so they have to go through with their propaganda. Okay, and the lies and all that kind of stuff. And we're talking about media people whose job it is to get you facts and truth, are totally bought off by people who want to use them to get you lies and misinformation and misleading information and all that kind of stuff. So
we are currently in a media revolution, if you will, for the truth.
Because people know that it's a lie. This is the problem with buying lies to propagate onto the masses. People are going – first of all, people want the truth, and they despise being lied to. And when the lies become brazen, which they have absolutely become, it becomes too obvious that they're lying. And then people are going to say, I'm not listening to this crap. They're totally lying. And that's exactly what's happening.
And they
can't stop.
Right, and they want to go somewhere for truthful news.
Right.
And that's where we come up with what we're talking about now. Paul Watson, Prison Planet, us here at Smith Radio, Bill Mitchell. You run the whole show. Mike Cernovich is incredible. He's on the ground, like we said. I mean, this is that new news media that's getting the truth out.
By the way, all of us are doing this at great risk to life and limb. Several times, at least 2 times, I've watched Mike Cernovich say on his live Periscope that he is well aware that his life is in grave danger. And he should believe that, because we're getting to my second point. My second point is that if they're not getting paid, there's some people that are so scared to death at the retaliation. Matt Lauer, did you hear about the new news on him? Turns out, Bill Still, he had he comes out with videos.
And Bill Still's another.
Oh yeah, he's another person you should be following. He is only on YouTube, so all you have to do. He's absolutely not on Twitter. He does have a Twitter handle. He does not man it. It's pretty much abandoned. Right. So,
man.
Right. He's new to this.
Well, he's an older. He's a baby boomer. He is definitely the
boomer.
older generation.
Yeah, he's a baby boomer, but he's really good because he can't be corrupted, and he's a Trump supporter, and so he's going to definitely come out with stuff that's I would call him biased, and I don't think that he would disagree with that. He's biased towards Trump, and that's fine. And Bill Mitchell's that way too, and that's fine. Just as long as they don't come out with stuff that's just blatantly false. You know what I mean?
Right. If Trump says something bad, wrong, or something that's just erroneous, that maybe even lied, we'll be the first to tell you.
Right. Well, and biased people, they might not say, hey, I think that what Trump said is stupid. They might not say that because of their bias. They might just say, all right, I'm either not going to report on that or I'm going to try to sugarcoat it. So biased people will do that, and that's fine. But they're not going to just blatantly lie to you. And we've seen bias in media towards the Democrats for many, many years. What you have in the past year is bold-faced, blatant lies. I mean, it's shameless. Just flat-out misinformation, false information, and it's coming nonstop from all mainstream media outlets, including print. So it's getting ridiculous. Now GQ's decided to start up a YouTube channel and hire Keith Olbermann to come out with lies and stuff like that.
Unbelievable.
So anyway, the second thing I wanted to make sure everybody knows is that Matt Lauer. It was reported by Bill Still this week that Matt Lauer was cussed out and blown up on by Hillary herself. She had a total meltdown after that first quasi-debate thing, roundtable thing, where she was on, I think it was on the Intrepid, wasn't it? It was like an aircraft carrier.
Oh, yeah, right.
He was on one floor. Trump was there in a different room, and they went back and forth without them seeing each other. I actually find that to be an intriguing format, by the way, because the bickering back and forth between the two candidates can get kind of annoying and overwhelming at times. But
yes,
but Matt Lauer apparently asked. She was fed questions beforehand, okay?
Which is standard.
That's a fact.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's come out in all the WikiLeaks emails. Yeah. It's an absolute bona fide fact. Later on in the show we've got Donna Brazier, like a brawl Brazier. Mm-hmm. We've got her. Megyn Kelly does an accidental drive-by of journalism.
That's called a random act.
Random act. Okay, she had a random act of journalism, and it has to do with this, and it's all laid out. So go ahead. Sorry.
Hilarious.
Sorry about that.
So it turns out, if you remember correctly, and this is all on Bill Still's video, you should check it out. He has over 1 million views. He doesn't have any other videos that have 1 million views.
Wow.
This one has he had 1 million with it.
Wow.
Yeah. So in this video, he points out the revelation that she had a meltdown because she was given all of the questions up front, and at the last second, Matt Lauer decided, you know what, I don't want to do that.
It's probably not best.
It's called a random act of journalism, and Matt Lauer actually kind of did it. He was still biased. Everybody was still angry at Matt Lauer because he was biased against Trump. The big difference is that he was supposed to give her the pre-fed questions, and he didn't. He deviated from it. But I got to give credit where credit's due. She actually didn't answer these questions that she did not expect coming half bad. She didn't do half bad. But she held her feet to the fire, made her kind of look not so great, and she was livid. She cussed everybody out. She had a meltdown. There were witnesses there that said that she didn't even care who was listening.
Wow.
Yeah, so she blew up, had a meltdown.
Now, does this go hand in hand with what Burns wrote in his book about Clinton character?
Oh, this is completely in line with everything he said about her. Gary Burns that wrote Crisis of Character. He's on Twitter. He's not super active on Twitter, but he actually makes videos on YouTube. So definitely follow Gary Byrne. That's B-Y-R-E-N.
B-Y-R-N-E.
N-E. B-Y-R-N-E. Yeah, Gary Byrne. So anyway, yeah, it's totally in line with the character that he points out in his book, who he actually was working alongside the Clintons for quite a few years, as one of the Secret Service agents that stood outside the White House. Or, I'm sorry, not outside the White House, outside the Oval Office on the inside of the White House.
Watching people get hit with shoes and poked in the eye with cigars.
Right. So anyway, Matt Lauer was ordered by Hillary Clinton to destroy him. And they did. And in doing so, it scared the crap out of everybody. All the DNC, the propaganda arm of the DNC and the Hillary Clinton campaign, which is the mainstream media, were ordered to destroy him.
To destroy Matt Lauer.
Yes.
Okay.
And they did it. And in the meantime, what does that do to everybody? They say, gosh, I don't want to go out like Matt Lauer.
You'd be the next one on
You could be the next.
You know, and that reminds me, back in the day, we were in a network marketing thing, and I thought it was kind of cool that I got inside information and criminal evidence on some of these other people, and I presented it to the new company and the new president, kind of cozying up with him, and he gave me a name. He gave me a nickname.
Did he?
Yeah.
What did he call you? I can't remember.
There was a movie about it.
Okay.
I think it might have, was it Al Pacino, and he was undercover.
Oh, Donnie Brasco?
Yeah, they called me Brasco. They say, hey, whoa, there's Brasco.
So all of a sudden you had no trust.
I was pushed outside.
They were like, we can't let this guy get too close.
This guy's so good with recording people.
Oh, that's right. You did. You recorded
Yes.
somebody. They were worried because apparently.
Well, but I thought they were on the up and up. But turns out they were not on the up and up.
No.
And so that's why they wouldn't want somebody like me around.
They asked you to play ball.
Right, and I didn't play ball. So you can trust me here.
Yes. Donnie Brasco, you can trust him. So anyway.
Ordered to destroy.
They destroyed Matt Lauer. And in doing so, they all thought, gosh, I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
So now they're all scared. Some people are being good little Eichmann for the Clinton campaign because, not for money, but because they know that if they don't, they could be destroyed.
You know, life and limb.
Brazier, Donna Brazier, for her to have given, which we know through WikiLeaks, that she gave Hillary all the questions to one of the debates. And
it might have been in the prime. I think this was against
Bernie
in the primaries, yeah.
Maybe not. Whatever it was. You guys can look that up on WikiLeaks. But here's my point. My point is at some point, she may have been like, well, I've been ordered to give these questions to Hillary Clinton. I better come through.
Yeah.
She might not have gotten a dime for it, but that doesn't matter because you stand to lose everything. You don't want to go out like Matt Lauer. So that's an important point. I thought that was interesting on the Bill Still video that got 1 million views. If you're following him on YouTube, you want to make sure. I got to turn this down. Sorry about that, folks. So you want to make sure that you go ahead and watch that because that is critical. And indulge me a second while I turn my phone off.
Go ahead. So we're going to be talking about in this show, just like the title says, Drain the Swamp. Mainstream media, or MSM, is the PR firm, the mouthpiece, the public relations firm, all of them for Hillary Clinton. It doesn't matter if it's CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, NBC, all of them. Doesn't matter. They are all in the tank for Hillary Clinton. There's tons of emails out there that we'll get into here later on. Lots of information that is being dumped. I mean, literally, bombshells. I was laying in bed the other night thinking about what word could I use for what WikiLeaks is doing to Hillary Clinton. And all I could remember is a term that the Germans used during World War II. America dropped, or the Allies, we dropped so many bombs in Germany that we were literally dropping bombs that exploded in a crater that was created by a bomb. We were dumping bombs on top of bombs on top of bombs. So much so that the German people, when they heard the B-52s coming, they referred to them as steel rain.
B-29?
B-29,
B-17?
sorry. And they referred to them as steel rain.
Yeah, B-52s. That would have been pretty amazing to see those things flying over during World War II. All of our older generation listening are like, "What did he just say?"
Yeah, I'm a young whippersnapper. Let it go. Now I get caught up in the moment. But no, seriously, they refer to it as steel rain coming down, carpet bombing. I mean, there's a reason why they say carpet bombing. Literally laying down a piece of carpet to cover up the entire floor, which would be the area that you're bombing. This is what WikiLeaks is doing to her, destroying her in the latest that's come out, which makes me really nervous because I'm not sure how to go with this or where to take this. Obama has now been implicated.
Uh-oh. Hold on. How in the world has he remained immune to this all this time?
Well, here's the thing.
He runs the country. Come on.
Well, but here's the thing. And people are kind of getting the notion wrong, and they're saying WikiLeaks is espionage and criminally liable. And even CNN yelling at us that you, the people, you're not allowed to look at this. It's illegal. It's a crime to look. It's a crime to hold the emails from WikiLeaks. It's a crime to hold them and to read them. Just tune into us, and we'll tell you what it says. I swear to you, folks, he said that word for word on CNN. So, as I digress, here's what happened this week with Obama. And here's the whole thing in a nutshell. It's not illegal because WikiLeaks is not hacked or releasing government emails.
Hold that thought real quick.
Oh, you got him?
Also interesting is, remember, it's illegal to possess these stolen documents. It's different for the media. So everything you learn about this, you're learning from us. And in full disclosure, let's take a look at what is in there and what it means. Joining us now, CN's.
That is so terrible. That is so awful. What? Wow.
That's shameless is what it is.
So bad.
So the term... they were saying on Twitter, they were saying that, yeah, they should bomb Julian Assange. They should go out and get him and hold him as a prisoner of war because he's conducting a war. No. WikiLeaks is just a website that receives information. They literally are acting as a reporter. They'll receive information from anonymous people, then post that on the internet in a searchable fashion. And in order to do that, it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of work. That's why hackers, they just get the info, dump it, then WikiLeaks actually processes it so that we can search through it. All the emails that they have dumped, WikiLeaks has dumped, is based on personal emails that have email like Yahoo, Google, that type of email, as well as, like here at Smith Radio, we have smithradio.com, and it's being held by GoDaddy. We also have an email server with GoDaddy, info@smithradio.com. So GoDaddy holds all our stuff. If GoDaddy were to be hacked, they could get emails that we send through that system. Well, that's exactly what's going on right here. WikiLeaks is dumping emails of John Podesta and his personal email account. Not a .gov account, but a personal account. Barack Hussein Obama, before he was president, before 2008 hit, John Podesta was emailing back and forth with then Senator Obama. And you know what? If the system isn't rigged, I don't know what to tell you, but it absolutely is, because in this email exchange, Obama is using a personal email address from, I don't know if it's PrioritesUSA.com or something like that, a firm that he worked with. And so they have that email exchange, and in that email exchange, it shows that Obama knew that he was actually president. I mean, he knew it before he was, and started to assemble his cabinet before the election was over. Okay. And Podesta was working with him on that to make that happen. Here's some phone numbers of people you need to contact. Here's some people I'll get you in contact with. I mean, it was just the beginning of the setup. Okay, I mean, yeah, you could probably have guessed that. All you had to do was just call John McCain.
Right.
And he'd say, I'm not going to win.
Yeah. We were disappointed when he didn't win. And
looking back now?
But, even looking back, I don't think it was kind of like hindsight, we should have known he was going to lose. I mean, even during the time, I think our only hope was that we had a female VP candidate on there, and that kind of brought some intrigue to the ticket. Right. And then it turns out, before the election day, they were throwing her under the bus, which was Sarah Palin.
Kind of like what they're doing to our good buddy and friend of yours, Mr. Donald J. Trump.
Oh yeah, I mean, gosh, GOP. Well, in Ohio, they've attempted to throw him under the bus, but they're miscalculating big time. Paul Ryan, the king of miscalculation. I have no idea what he thinks he's trying to get away with, throwing him under the bus and all this kind of stuff. The coup,
that
big failure.
How's that going?
What Paul Ryan attempted to do was almost precisely the same thing, just on a much larger scale, is what they tried to do at the RNC convention when they had that early vote. They tried to do an early vote and vote somebody else in, besides Trump, at the RNC convention. And what I mean by that is when you get to the RNC convention, you're technically not the GOP nominee until they all come together and the delegates vote.
Right.
And then you win, 1237 or more delegates vote for you. And they were trying to do some sort of a coup right at the beginning of the RNC convention, and it turned into the biggest, massive, epic failure that you could ever imagine. Well, this latest thing with Paul Ryan trying to do the recent coup, which was right after the audio tape from Access Hollywood,
right?
Come to find out, it was Ryan and his GOP buddies who released that tape in order to spark a new coup 1 month before the election.
Yeah,
and
it was one of Ryan's handlers whose wife actually worked for NBC, and she got the tape, gave it to her husband gave it to Paul Ryan, and she admitted it on Twitter. Yep, that's just the way it goes, boys.
Yep, we did that. We built that.
Yes, we built that. Oh. So what happened?
The whole thing was just what happened? I don't know why they thought this was going to work. It went down almost exactly the way the attempted coup at the RNC went down, which was massive, epic failure. And then in a last-ditch effort to try to save the coup, the Ohio Republican Party got together and said, well, hey, Trump can't win the presidency without Ohio. Let's just, last-ditch effort, try to save this coup by saying that we won't support him. And that was the whole hashtag I'm with Matt debacle that we ended up having to counter with the hashtag I'm with Trump Ohio hashtag.
Right, which is still, it's still trending. Not very high, but it's still
going
trending.
Back and forth.
I use it all the time. I try and use it all the time.
I'm an Ohio resident, and I can tell you right now, I'm going to vote against Portman. He's our highest ranking GOP elected official who is up for re-election this election in November, who was on board with that coup. And the reason I'm going to vote against him, not because I want his opponent in, because his opponent is a full-fledged Soviet communist. Flat out. He's so awful. He's more awful than... he is awful.
Wow.
But the reason I'm going to vote against Portman is because I know he's going to win in a landslide, but I need to send some sort of message. If nothing more, just my one vote, it makes me feel better. So if Portman was possibly going to lose to the communist, I would have to vote for Portman. I don't want him to lose. I just want to send him a little bit of a message.
Right. Well, I mean...
That being said, 6 years from now, by the way, Senator, they go every 6 years. 6 years from now, I am going to push hard for a primary challenge against Portman. I don't know if it'll work because he's really popular in Ohio, but somebody needs to do something about his actions here.
Right. And everything we're talking about tonight has to do with information, correct information, getting out the information. that is truthful and honest. If there was something about Donald Trump that was the opposite of what we know him to be, if he did have skeletons in the closet of ties to communism, ties to Russia, ties to this and that, we would expose that. I would tell you that. I mean, if we were doing this show back during John McCain's era, I'd probably tell you, you know what, folks, he's a bit of an establishment kind of guy. I'm letting you know right now. But I'm going to pull the lever for him anyways, because what we know about Barack Obama is
the media
so...
hid from us.
Oh, my
By the
goodness.
way, 2009 was the first year that Sean Hannity and a whole bunch of other people jumped on board with it, but Sean Hannity was the first person I heard say it. That was the death of journalism in America. 2009.
No, I agree 100%. They were so in the... I mean, Chris Matthews with the tingle up his leg.
Oh, that was just...
The tingle heard around the world. And you can't be that guy. JFK started this back in the day. JFK was the first... I kind of... A lot of people coined this. It's just not me. But JFK was the first celebrity, air quotes, president. And the media... adored him for that status, and he lent it to him and said, all right, my adoring fans, the media, well, why don't you come on in? And he started these meetings with the media.
Interesting.
And they kind of, and then the left.
Well, you mean like the TV media, because that was the big thing about him. He was the first president who won based on looks.
Right. right. And so when you snowball that, and all the, they say that, and I believe it's in Bill O'Reilly's book, if you read Killing JFK, it is just, you think Bill Clinton's past is awful? They're saying that JFK was exponentially worse, so much so, and this is back in the day, they had these prep schools for rich girls. You would go to this school, and you would learn how to be a wife to a rich man.
You know, you may be offended by what Brian said.
It's true.
It's true. It's true. That's what they did.
So a rich family. If I was a rich man and I was believed in that stuff, and I had daughters, which I do, you would send them on to this particular school,
and that would be preferable to the parents, because at that school they would get hooked up with a very prominent young man,
and the prominent family would see that your daughter went through this prep school. They, oh, well, she knows the ways of the rich. She knows
etiquette.
Right. She knows
proper etiquette.
That the China dishes from China don't get put out when good company comes over. The real Cristal from Venice, Italy comes out.
All right.
Little things like that. So
it might even go beyond that, though. It might be like she may be too rich to actually do that. She might have to order butlers and
she may get that lesson on how to order your butlers around,
right?
And literally as indentured slavery.
They're probably
servants.
They're probably teaching her how to properly socialize with the other socialites.
Absolutely, and to be a good little wife, which JFK's wife.
Oh my gosh, she was like a doll.
Was
like literally
right, and she was born and bred to be the president's wife.
That
of
was
whoever.
like an arranged marriage, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was going headlong into the presidency without a wife. And they were like, we can't have a bachelor running for president. And they threw her at him.
There was a movie about that.
Was there?
Was it Kevin Costner?
He's the president and everything.
It's the one that looked like Kevin Costner. But you never see them two together.
I know what you're talking about. It's on the tip of my tongue.
You never see them together, ever. So it probably is the same person.
I know who you're talking about.
Okay, so my whole point to all of this is that JFK would have his private Secret Service go to these schools and pick up girls and bring them to the back door of the White House. And JFK would then do what he did to all these young debutantes and then send them back on their way.
Dennis Quaid.
Yeah, Dennis Quaid.
Like Dennis.
And Kevin Costner. They're the same person. You never see them in the same room together or on the same movie.
Yeah.
Never.
Not to be confused with Randy Quaid.
Whoa.
No, Dennis Quaid, his brother. I do get them mixed up. Kevin Costner, Dennis Quaid. Yeah.
Right. So they put the low numbers in the thousands that JFK had sex with. The high numbers are in the multiple thousands, 4, 5, 6,000 of women just ushering through for JFK. The reason why I'm saying all this, I'm leading up to something. The media covered for him, hook, line, and sinker, 100%. Media was covering for FDR when he was in the wheelchair.
Right. They never wanted him to be seen as being unable to stand on his own 2 feet.
Right, and the media started to see how much power they could wield by with trickery, and we're fighting the good cause. We're doing this on purpose because what we're doing is protecting America from the truth, which
we need to protect them. That's so funny.
Which they can't handle the truth.
Oh,
where is that?
Oh,
so then moving on to the next president. I mean, Jimmy Carter. If anybody did a background check on that joker, what a peanut head. I mean, it's moving forward. You got Reagan. They hated, the establishment hated Reagan almost as much as they hate Trump.
There's a lot of similarities there. I know I was very, very, very young at the time, but I grew up my entire childhood through that. I remember hearing about Reagan and not realizing at the time, but he had just gotten elected.
Right. So the whole thing with Reaganomics and the Star Wars and all those
Remember
words.
the Saturday Night Live skits about him? They really, truly
and then that video,
he was dangerous.
Not by Peter Gabriel, but by
Collins. Genesis, yeah. Genesis.
Okay, it was Genesis with Collins. Phil Collins.
Land of Confusion.
Yeah, and I mean the whole thing. There was the puppet caricatures.
Get on your YouTube, look up Land of Confusion.
I love the song, and I actually love the video.
This is a great video.
But it was so damning towards the president in a time and age where we're so close to,
by the way,
World War III.
That cartoonish was like puppets.
Yeah.
But
all the puppets were caricatures of the real human.
Right. So that video came out like towards the end of his presidency.
Right.
He got elected and started in 81, and I believe that song came out in like 87.
I believe it. I believe so too.
Yeah, so they were making fun of Reagan all the way to the end of his presidency. And I never realized just how great. This is another thing that people don't realize.
86.
Okay.
86. So I mean, it was right around
He'd
there.
already been reelected for his second term.
Right.
And they came out with that, bashing him to pieces. And there were, I'll never forget the Saturday Night Live skit that showed Ronald Reagan as this really sweet old man who's very soft-spoken when he was out in public and he was at press conferences and he was really soft, you know. Well. And then they would show him go back behind closed doors where the media and the public wouldn't see him. And he was screaming and he was running around and he was ordering people around. He was all crazy and yelling at people. Do you remember that? I think it was Hart that did that skit.
Oh, Hartman?
Phil
Hartman.
Hartman.
Who was murdered by his jealous wife. He did not want to get into acting. He wasn't an actor. But his wife was an actor. His wife was an actress.
I didn't know that.
And so she got him into acting.
Okay.
And he became an overnight sensation with it.
Yeah.
And she was so jealous of him, she killed him.
Wow. That's sad. That is a sad thing because I do remember him being one of the best characters on Saturday Night Live.
Not only that, but even after Saturday Night Live, when he went to talk radio.
Did he? What? I don't even know.
No, it wasn't talk radio. It was a TV show.
Okay.
Called Talk Radio, and it was a joke. It was like a WKRP in Cincinnati.
Okay, I didn't know.
It was inside a radio executive office on the show, on radio show. And Phil Hartman, he was hysterical.
I did not know that.
Yeah, no.
I only know him because he, you know, a lot of Saturday Night Live characters, they all go on to, the big one, the popular ones, they always go on to make big movies, blockbuster comedies, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we could probably list dozens of them, spin-offs from characters or possibly even new original movies that star Saturday Night Live characters. Phil Hartman was killed too early. Because
and all his time and all the things he did on The Simpsons, 52 episodes on The Simpsons.
That's right. He did play somebody on The Simpsons. I forgot about that.
Anyway, so,
okay, we got way off on a tangent.
Okay, back to the presidents and moving forward. Then right after Barack Obama, before Barack Obama, right after Reagan, now we get into the Clintons.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Clinton had scandals, and Hillary Clinton had scandals on them.
I'm just now learning. As much as I know about the Clinton administration, because I was older, plus I've been listening to so much news about all of that kind of stuff for the past 15 years, that I thought I had a good grasp on the presidency of Bill Clinton. I'm just now learning that they knew before he was elected the first time that he was riddled with scandals. It's amazing. I'm amazed that I didn't know that, because the way I always understood it was the Monica Lewinsky thing just blew up out of nowhere. And I kind of, just my recollection of it, you got to realize I was a child, I was an older child, I was a teenager at the time. That my recollection of it was that they all kind of came at once after he was elected.
Right.
And then they started coming out of the woodworks. No, they had to address this as candidates. And I use plural because Hillary was involved with having to explain this. And then, remember, it was the 2-for-1.
Right. Right.
He announced, you elect me and you get a 2-for-1.
Right.
Because my wife.
Well, she's trying to play that off now.
Oh, you get a 2-for-1. You get one guy who's going to be walking around with a robe that's conveniently untied.
And no draws.
No draws. And he'll play off the senile role.
Right.
But he's just playing that so that he can get away with it.
Right.
That's what'll happen.
Thank you, Mr. Producer. That show with Phil Hartman in it, News Radio ran from Phil Hartman was on it from 95 to 99.
Probably right up to
his death. Yeah, right up until his death. But that was, if you love good comedy from back in the day, Google it and watch those episodes. Hysterical.
I guess I'm the one you're talking to, Brian, because I never even knew that was a show.
Because if it's one of those shows where the boss, the president, the CEO of the company is an absolute buffoon, and
but
sold.
It's not Phil Hartman.
No, okay. Not Phil. But is sold into the whole notion of tinfoil hat conspiracies and crazy, and he's aloof. And he doesn't run anything, and the inmates are running the asylum.
Okay.
So good times.
All right.
Okay, so the Clintons, we're finding out, the millennials now, especially the women, the girls. And when I say girls, all y'all in your 20s.
You look like children.
I can't.
You look like chitlins.
I'm at that point in time in life where
we ran into one. A guy introduced us to his daughter, and we're like, oh, okay, and... You know, she looked like
what high school did you go
to? Yeah, I almost asked her what school she went to. She is working at a place that requires you to be 21 or older.
Yeah, she's working at an adult establishment. Oh, yeah, a bar.
Oh,
I know. I mean, adult establishment in the sense of a bar.
Wow.
Well, and then our niece in South Carolina.
Wherever she went.
When she showed up for the holidays, I made a comment to her about, hey, how's school going? When do you graduate high school? What? Oh, you're so pathetic. I'm a sophomore in college.
Oh, my goodness. What about your niece from Oklahoma?
I have no idea how old she is.
She's got to be like in her mid-20s by now. We remember her when she was a child.
Right. So anyway, so all these...
We're getting old.
All these things that are coming out about the Clintons right now, we've got to stop this dynasty. Thank God we crushed the dynasty of the Bushes. You all in the media hated the Bushes so much, and that's fine, whatever.
I'm hoping,
but they were so much better. Bush was so much better than any Democrat that I can remember, although Bush, I had a lot of issues with him. A lot of the money that he spent, a lot of the raising the debt, the Iraq War, all these little things. He loved America.
Yeah, he was a good guy.
And he did not, I do not believe that his intentions of the Patriot Act were for the systematic takeover of America.
Yeah, and there's something else. I need to probably do more research on this. I'd love to have an interview with Mark Levin. He would know this. But the founders put into the Constitution provisions that allow for, martial law is written into it.
Right.
And the main thing that they wanted to make sure that the government had power to do is if something really bad happens with regards to war or with regards to some sort of an uprising, that they had a way to deal with that.
Right.
Okay, so the thing about how that relates to terrorism. Terrorism could be a domestic situation where we're being attacked on U.S. soil by people who are living and walking amongst us, which would be people from the Middle East or maybe sympathizers with people from the Middle East. And there are legal constitutional ways to deal with that. And I think that the Patriot Act probably has some things that people scream are unconstitutional that actually under limited temporary circumstances would be considered legal, And I do believe that the internment camps of World War II could be shown to be legal too. But I think that it's important to know that it would be on a very temporary basis, and it would be only under a dire situation, which of course they were. The U.S. soil was attacked. Pearl Harbor was considered part of U.S. soil, and we have all these immigrants all over the country, a portion of which would be from countries that we are now at war with. And these things are actually addressed in the Constitution. And so I think on a temporary basis, this stuff is actually legal. So the Patriot Act, I think initially, and I think you're actually kind of saying that, Brian. You're saying, I think he had good intentions. Well, not only do I think he had good intentions, but I think there's a legal precedent for this, written in the Constitution and all that kind of stuff.
Right. We just didn't expect to have a communist president come in and just completely take advantage of the American people through devious ways of weaving through the Patriot Act.
I think that if this is not already in place, it should be, that when you do some sort of an emergency situation, whether it be martial law or something similar to that, I think that it should be re-voted on by Congress when a new president takes office. I think it should only apply to the current sitting president. And I do think it should be spelled out why it's being implemented, so that if the issue that causes it goes away, that law goes away too.
Right.
That way you don't have Patriot Act from here on out. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
Wow, yeah. No, absolutely correct. Okay, so now all this stuff that's coming out on the Clintons is just utterly damning. Everything we ever accused them or thought that they were doing, yes, it's confirmed. They've been doing it. They've been colluding with the mainstream media. It's a fact. They're all in bed. It's incestuous.
Well, it used to be that we would say that they are helping the Democrats. Right. And I don't know who said it. I'm sorry. It just recently came out. Somebody said, no. They're not helping the Democrats. They are the Democrats.
Right.
So literally, the mainstream media has become a part of the DNC. It is a part of the DNC. And so whatever they say, it's just a press release.
Right.
And coming out from the DNC. That's all it is.
And so now we're getting all these things that are coming out that are saying that Trump's saying Trump. I know I'm fast forwarding, but the whole thing with Obama, I don't want to even get into that. That's for another show. You all know who he is. He's a Muslim. His dad may or may not be from America. I think it's Frank Marshall Davis, who is an American, may or may not be. He was a communist.
Well, I can tell you this. Let's be factual here. That could be true.
Could be.
It may not be true. It could be. Because we don't have the information to know any different.
And we do know, though, that he played a father role for him, if you will, in raising him up to be the good little communist that he is, along with Loretta Lynch.
So regardless of whether or not he is or is not his father, he was the surrogate father.
Right.
For the most part.
And he even talked about it in his books, about how much he was an influence on his life.
Mm-hmm.
So just part and parcel. Okay. all of that information about Obama and Obama being so self-absorbed, just what do they call it? Megalomaniac, a narcissist,
a narcissist, yeah.
just completely absorbed. Writes a book about dreams of my father, about his life. Okay, which you didn't do anything. Dude, how do you write a book about yourself and you didn't do nothing? So you haven't accomplished anything other than a community disorganizer.
Right. Which is a more accurate description of what it actually is.
Bought and paid for colleges that people claim they've never seen you before.
Well, and also they're saying that it was paid for by the government under a program for foreign exchange students.
Right. He is listed as a foreign exchange student.
That's what's been alleged.
Which that's fine. You can lie about that, and if you get away with it, then say, okay.
Hey, that's
you lied.
Fault.
You lied and got away with it.
Pocahontas, she said, hey, I have one 128th. I have one 128th Cherokee. It's always Cherokee, right? It's always Cherokee.
It's not Choctaw or
it's always Cherokee because Jeep makes one of those, and so that's what people remember.
You're
right.
You're right. I laugh about that, folks, but it's a shame.
It's whatever's on top of your head. They're like, oh, what Indian tribes are out there?
I know there's Cherokee.
Cherokee. That's what it is. That's what I am. My great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather
was a Jeep.
Oh, man. Wow. Oh, no, he did it.
His position was Grand Cherokee.
Oh, man.
In the Jeep tribe.
Oh, man. Oh. Wow, the FCC is going to pull the plug on Smith Radio for that one.
Who is that woman? I can't even...
what's her name? Elizabeth.
Yeah, Warren. Elizabeth Warren. E. Warren. What a fraud.
You could tell by the name. She's definitely descended from some sort of a... Warren, for sure. Absolutely.
Warren G. Harding. Just keep it in the family. Just keep the politics in the family.
Yeah. Just like Hillary was named after Sir Edmund Hillary.
4 years before he became famous.
Well, maybe they knew him and just knew he was going to become famous.
Sure.
She may be behind him becoming famous.
Okay, maybe so. Okay, so the mainstream media has covered up everything were not supposed to ever know about Obama.
Right.
They did it. We covered it. We've been entrenched in it. We've been incensed by it.
Oh, by the way, our founding of Smith Radio.
It's because of this.
Because of Obama, what he's trying to do, and the lack of information.
And the gray hairs coming out of my head.
There's a lot of people that founded their radio station and their whatever they're doing to get information out, whatever medium they're using. A lot of them have done it because they want to support Trump, and they started it sometime in the past year. Not us. We've been doing this for 3 years, and it's to combat communism, in any form. Statism. And by the way, there's a lot of people, they're like, no, that's not communism. It's leftism, or it's neo-progressivism. Guys. From a broad spectrum, from zoom way out, all this stuff lands so close to the bullseye of communism that I could just say, look, it's all leftism, it's all statism, it's all whatever you want to call it. It's social engineering that's constructed in a way to cause the little guy to serve a single entity, either a person or a group of people.
Right.
Which in our case we call them elites here in America.
Right.
So the elites, that's all part of socialism, communism, progressivism. All of it is all the same thing. It's all on the left. It's all Marxism. It's all that kind of stuff. So just saying.
Okay, so moving on through all that bad stuff in the past, we got Bush in power, or we got Obama is fading out. He's almost finished. And speaking of, I was thinking about this just real quick. That's why I said Bush. The thing about Bush, it took the media 5 solid years to destroy and tarnish his legacy forever. Our children will never know anything about Bush's legacy, or anything about Bush, other than he was a warmonger and he's a liar.
Oh, he lied. People died.
Right. That's all they'll ever know. That's what they're going to write in the Common Core books.
Which, by the way,
it's over with.
Sick Bias, one of my early articles that I wrote in Sick Bias, points out how he is not a liar, or he didn't lie about weapons of mass destruction. And that's just a lie to say that he lied. And that's the thing, people don't listen to or understand. When you lie about somebody lying, it's almost impossible to erase that. It's
Right.
impossible.
Right.
No, I'm not. You're lying about me lying. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear, well, you just called him a liar, and he came back and said you're lying about him. Nobody wants to hear that.
No.
That's why the left is so effective when they call us a liar, because you can't combat that. Because a vast majority of the low information crowd don't want to start hearing about who lied about who. They'll pick the first one, which was them saying that we lied.
Right.
Even though they just totally made it up.
Right.
They're more likely to believe the original accusation. When
True. You only get one shot to make a first impression. If you make that first impression and it's a lie, but it's really, really good, like I can see Russia from my house. Dude, that was really good. That was funny.
Yeah.
But it's not true. Sarah Palin never said that.
Right. That was Tina Fey.
On SNL.
Right.
So when you make a big splash like that, I had a professor do that to me, and I've said this one before.
But she lied, and we can call now when we say that she lied.
Tina Fey lied.
Yeah, we're the first person to accuse of lying. When somebody else calls somebody a liar, but they're lying about that, oh my gosh, it's almost impossible to combat, because you have to make the case, the argument for why they lied about that person lying.
You literally have to go on trial and convince a jury of
nobody wants to hear that
of 12 of your peers.
Right.
Just go. You got to dig up Johnny Cochran, because that's the only way you can win. Chewbacca, and that's the only way y'all can win. Okay, so
it's infuriating. There's nothing that infuriates me more than when somebody lies about somebody lying.
Right, and as a young impressionable mind in college, when I had a professor, history professor, that was so knowledgeable about history. It was phenomenal. The guy could tell a story like nobody's business. It was unbelievable how he would just tell stories, and you get riveted into his stories. And one of the things he said to us, young, impressionable, mushy brain kids, was that Calvin Coolidge slept 16 hours and was a do-nothing president. That's all you need to know about that one. What a joke. Moved on. That's the first time I've ever heard about Calvin Coolidge. And I was in my 20s. That is a shame. It's a crying shame, because Calvin Coolidge was the precursor to Ronald Reagan, which was the precursor to Donald J. Trump. See, you're getting the right information now. Okay, so now we've got the GOP establishment, the DNC establishment, and the mainstream media. The three incestuously in bed with each other to protect their powers that be, and that gravy train. You want to talk about crack cocaine? You want to talk about heroin? You want to talk about the most addictive drug there ever was? I got one for you. How about $9 trillion? How addictive would $9 trillion be? Well, that's what Obama has raised national debt, $9 trillion, and it went somewhere.
And it's going to go up, too.
WikiLeaks shows that the one bill that Obama passed to help fund stuff and bring back, it was like a stimulus type of bill.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not the stimulus, but it was another one of it. WikiLeaks has showed, the emails show that the majority of that money, or hundreds of millions of dollars of that money, circulated through the Clinton Foundation and went back to senators, congressmen, and donors. If you look deep enough, I promise you're going to find Republicans on there too.
Oh, I'm sure.
That's why they're not saying anything about this.
Well, and here's the thing, and I'm sure I've heard this a lot on a lot of other people. I know I've heard it for sure on Rush, is that the Republicans are okay with the Democrat gravy train because they know that at some point they're going to be in charge of the gravy train themselves. So even if they're not getting it at the very moment that we're talking about, they know it's coming soon, as soon as they get to take it over. They get to be in charge of the gravy train. They get to be the recipients of all the gravy. And that's why they actually approve of this stuff when it comes over their desk as being some sort of program that they have to sign on to or vote in favor of, even though it's for the majority party at the time and they're part of the minority party. They could actually become the beneficiary of those programs when they take over.
What about that $12 million speech?
Did
she give it or not? When Hillary Clinton, running for president, announced her candidacy, decided that maybe she shouldn't give this $12 million talk or not.
$12 million?
But she went ahead and took the money and did it. She's like, well, this might be seen as,
all right,
as what it is.
Listen.
I don't want people to get the wrong idea.
Okay, I'll give you a good example. If somebody comes up to you and says, can I wash your windows for $1? Okay, I'll wash your windows. But your windows are clean already, and you know that this guy's probably going to make your window worse. Okay, you don't want him to clean your window.
Right.
But you look at him and you're like, you know what, though? I don't mind giving him $1. In fact, I feel like I'll feel better about myself today if I give him $1. What would you say? You would say, here, just take the $1, but stay off my windows. That might be what's going on with Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton might be saying, listen, I want to give you a speech for $500,000 or $12 million or whatever. I know her going rate is typically $500,000.
Right. Right.
The people that she's trying to get this $500,000 for, they just need her to have the money.
Right.
But they don't want to hear her speak, and they don't want to have to set up an auditorium. And isn't it very possible that they may say, listen, we'll put it in our records that you spoke, but can we just cut out the middleman and just give you the $500,000 and say that you spoke?
Right. 2 days
possible?
ago. Oh, yeah, absolutely. 2 days ago, townhall.com. You want to if you want news or information, breaking news, townhall.com. That's a really good website to go to. This is what they wrote in a little op-ed piece on the 21st, which is 2 days ago. And here's how it goes. It says, just hours after Hillary Clinton dodged a question at the final presidential debate about charges of pay to play. And as soon as I'm done with this, I'll play you that question.
Okay.
Not the answer, just the question. At the Clinton Foundation, a new batch of WikiLeaks. The email surfaced with stunning charges. I don't know how you can charge on an email. Stunning examples would be more like it.
You could charge that somebody did something.
Okay.
It's kind of an accusation.
Okay. So the email shows something, and we're like saying, wow. So that these charges that the candidate herself, Hillary Clinton, was at the center of negotiating a $12 million commitment from King Mohammed VI of Morocco. One of more remarkable parts about the charges is that the allegations came from Clinton's loyal aide, Uma Abedin, who described the connection in January 2015 email exchange with Podesta and Mook, who's the head of the Robbie Mook, who's the head of Hillary's campaign. Abedin wrote that this was Hillary's idea for her to speak at a meeting of the Clinton Global Initiative in Morocco in May 2015 as an explicit condition for the $12 million commitment from the king. She created this mess, and she knows it. Quote, unquote. Uma Abedin said to Mook and Podesta, Hillary created this mess. And she knows it.
And this mess is what exactly?
$12 million from the King of Morocco while she was campaigning. So the Clinton Foundation guaranteed, we know it's in writing, the Clinton Foundation received a $12 million check during Hillary Clinton's run for president.
And this has got to be illegal, right?
Foreign governments donating to a presidential campaign is criminal. It's criminal.
Here's the problem with globalists. They don't see the problem with America being run or influenced or whatever by all kinds of foreign entities, because we don't. What are these borders anyway? We don't need these borders, these ugly, dirty lines on a map. We're just a global community, and there's a lot of problems with that, because the whole purpose of a state or a country is to cordon off different cultures, different mores, different belief systems, different laws. And, when you got people who are hell-bent on making a global caliphate, who believe in Sharia law written in the Quran, who are dumping millions and millions and millions of dollars, maybe billions, into a specific party or candidate of America, it makes you wonder what that person might be beholden to.
Right. She is beholden to Saudi Arabia, the terrorist regime, and it's still up on Netflix, folks. Go on Netflix and type in Saudi Arabia uncovered.
Ooh.
It is affirmed. You will see it for your eyes. Saudi Arabia is a terrorist state.
Oh, they're the ones who have been proven. It's been proven, and this is another thing I could bash the Bush administration about. It's been proven that Saudi Arabia, the government itself, was behind the attacks on 9/11. And I had heard a little bit of rumbling, a little bit of rumors about that early on, right after 9/11, that this was Saudi Arabia. I didn't believe it, because the reports I heard were these people trained and live in Afghanistan. And sure, a vast majority, if not all, of the hijackers were from Saudi Arabia. They grew up in Saudi Arabia. But they had left Saudi Arabia, and we heard about how bin Laden was expelled from Saudi Arabia. He's not allowed back in, and all this kind of stuff. So when I heard this, I said, guys, I'm not going to believe these crazy accusations just because they happen to be born and raised in Saudi Arabia. They're in Afghanistan.
Glenn Beck was railing on that, and so was InfoWars. What's his face?
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones was
So I
railing.
wasn't buying into it. I said, yeah, you know what? This seems like a really loose connection. What, they're from Saudi Arabia? They weren't in Saudi Arabia for years and years, whatever. As far as I know, Saudi Arabia is totally against 9/11. Well, we find out many, many years later, just recently, what months ago, maybe a year ago or something like that, we find out that the Saudi royal family was actually physically involved
bankrolling
in the funding of 9/11.
They also fund ISIS to help them with their terrorist organization and their regime. And WikiLeaks Podesta emails show Hillary Clinton herself acknowledges that Saudi Arabia is funding her and they're funding the terrorist. She acknowledges that. In my book, that makes her complicit, possibly even closer to the founder of ISIS.
Well, let's use an example that people might be able to maybe understand a little bit better. Imagine if after Pearl Harbor, and we go to war with Germany and Japan, mainly because of our allies and all this, when we decided to go to war with Japan, actually Germany, in an alliance with Japan, declared war against America, and we just said, oh, really? Okay, let's do this. Imagine if during one of the elections during World War II, we find out that members of the Nazi Party at the highest levels were dumping money on a candidate who was running for president of the United States.
No.
If it were found out that was happening,
how's that not treasonous? High treason.
Well, okay. If they find out that the candidate not only accepted the money but knew exactly where that money came from, I would say that there is an extreme high possibility that that person would end up in prison
for a long time.
Yeah,
long time.
So yeah,
and certainly not be allowed to run for any political office anywhere, not even a Chamber of Commerce.
I honestly think we should probably start treating Saudi Arabia the way we used to treat Iran before Obama decided to make them our close ally by helping them to get nuclear weapons.
After you watch that movie on Netflix called Saudi Arabia Uncovered, Saudi Arabia cuts people's heads off in public. There's a public square called Chop Chop Square. That's what they call it, Chop Chop Square. Jeez. It's a big, giant, open square, and you can see there's drains all around the square, and you can see the rocks and the stone that have been stained from all the blood of Chop Chop Square. Yeah. That's in Saudi Arabia. Not only that, but something else. They not only have police going around chopping people's heads off, but they also have something like a religious police. These men walk around malls and stores and to make sure everybody stays in line.
Wow.
Don't you look at me wrong. Hey, woman, you better cover that up.
Yeah, I've heard Westerners are not allowed, or non-Muslims are not allowed in Saudi Arabia.
No, as a visitor.
For, right. Very
no visitors at all.
You have to have, there's very, very limited exceptions. I think, obviously, if you're head of state and you're going to visit the
reason why they snuck these cameras in.
Oh,
and I'm telling you, the sneaking in of these cameras was so dangerous. They would have been
very risky.
They'd been killed.
I wouldn't do it.
And they lied. They're from Britain, and they made up a fake corporation for Greenpeace something or other.
Oh, that's right. They allow companies in because they do trade with Western companies and stuff like that. So representatives from companies can come in on business.
Only.
Right.
And you were literally strip searched and
this is Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
People have a totally wrong impression of Saudi Arabia.
I had the misconception of what Saudi Arabia was.
They were like an ally. They are not an ally. They are one of the most dangerous adversaries of America on earth.
Right.
Mainly because number one, because it's a Muslim country. But number two, and by the way, because of that, they want all Americans dead because we're infidels.
Right, correct.
But also because they're probably one of the very richest countries in the world.
They have no middle class. There's no such thing as a middle class.
They have so much money from oil. They're able to build gigantic islands from scratch, which they do.
Right.
And, I mean, do you know how expensive that is?
I don't know, but I've always thought about it.
They build communities out on the lake.
That would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
They build entire communities. I don't know if they're vacation. You can't even go to vacation there.
No, you're not allowed. You are vacationers and visitors are illegal. Wow. It is not legal to vacation in Saudi Arabia.
Now, meanwhile, Obama considers these people close allies, and
the 9/11 victims to sue. That bill that came up. There was a bill that was passed around here recently where it gave 9/11 victims the ability to sue Saudi Arabia, the state.
And he promised to veto that.
And he did.
Okay.
Well, he did veto that.
I don't want to get off on a sidetrack, but I actually agree with that veto. I actually do.
We didn't talk about it when we said we were going to. We'll talk about it later, and we'll get back to you on that.
So that's kind of getting way off on a sidetrack.
Real quick, the question from Chris Wallace at the debate, which this is why I thought Chris Wallace was probably one of the best moderators.
I actually anticipated him being the best and was struck down by some of my colleagues.
There were some things that I didn't like that he did do.
Well, they told me he was a Democrat, and I never knew that about him because he's always been like this.
I'd never known him to be a Democrat.
That's what they told me. I said, really? I always considered him this moderate Fox News anchor guy who doesn't toe the liberal line at all. And but I assumed he was probably a Republican voter.
If nothing else, maybe even part of this an acceptable establishment Republican type of guy.
Right. His performance at the debate, I thought, was right on par with what I originally thought before I was informed that he was a hardcore leftist, which
Right,
I don't think he is. But
No,
whatever.
and it certainly was no Candy Crowley. However, I really wished he would have asked more of the questions of the WikiLeaks that are coming out, pressed her for more of an answer to. And the only reason why I'm playing the question is because there was never an answer. There was never an answer.
Let's hear it.
So here's Chris Wallace in the debate.
During your 2009 Senate confirmation hearing, you promised to avoid even the appearance of a conflict of interest with your dealing with the Clinton Foundation while you were Secretary of State. But emails show that donors got special access to you. Those seeking grants for Haiti relief were considered separately from non-donors, and some of those donors got government contracts, taxpayer money. Can you really say that you kept your pledge to that Senate committee? And why isn't what happened and what went on between you and the Clinton Foundation, why isn't it what Mr. Trump calls pay to play?
Yes, that is a Donald J. Trump commercial. That is an ad.
He didn't answer that question
No.
at all.
No. And it is because it is pay to play. Do you want a president in the White House that is down?
That's
with
sold.
the pay?
She sold
Yes.
out.
She and Dinesh D'Souza's new movie out, which I wish he would rename it, because so many of the millennials have a misconception what the movie's about. There was a kid working at the movie theater that was playing Hillary's America.
Mm-hmm.
And some baby boomers got to talking with the kid, and he's in his 20s, and chit-chatting. He's like, what movie you seeing? They said, Hillary's America. It was come to find out, the kid that worked there never saw it and was never going to see it because he thought it was a good thing about Hillary. It was like a propaganda piece to make Hillary good, and I'm a conservative. I'm a Republican, and I love Trump. I'm not going to see that.
Yeah, I never really thought about that, but the title is very ambiguous.
It's called Hillary's
It's
America.
completely ambiguous.
Maybe he did that on purpose to try and get Democrats to see it.
I guess. And I would think that anybody, regardless of what your background is, that did see it would have to be swayed at least a little bit, right?
I was so infuriated.
Well, yeah, but you're already against her.
Yeah,
what if you
right.
were a Hillary supporter? After you were done, would you be like,
You would be
"Ooh,
shocked
ouch."
and in awe, because the whole time in the movie you're going to be like, well, Trump this and Trump that and no, Trump didn't do that. Oh my goodness, Trump didn't do. Oh Lord, Trump didn't do that.
Wow. Yeah, this pay-to-play thing is really, really disturbing, scary, and I hope that everybody realizes you could be a Democrat and even be a progressive, but it's got to worry you if you hear about the pay-to-play scandals. It's got to worry you to imagine her being president.
Right.
Because she doesn't have an allegiance to America. She has an allegiance to whoever donated lots of money to her. And if those people happen to be foreigners that don't have America as their primary allegiance, then that should be worrisome.
Yes.
I was waiting for you to be like Trump. Wrong. Wrong.
I have the image of her, that is Sir Hillary Clinton, in my mind, answering the question of, well, Donald Trump says you've been in this for 40 years and you've done nothing. So what have you done in 30, 40 years? And her answer, I've spent my lifetime championing the rights of children around the world and women's rights.
You know,
by the way,
scary thing.
she went down the road. She slipped on the nastiest, awesome sauce. And yes, she's a nasty woman, by the way. She slipped on she exposed herself as the murderous abortionist.
Oh, yeah.
Propaganda. She was all down.
I know, but you know the problem? Yeah, so we're going into the debate, huh?
Well, I don't know. I'm just kind of putting pieces.
The thing about the abortion thing, I'm 100% pro-life in all cases, every case. If a doctor says this baby, if you have this child, you will die. I am pro-life in that situation because I don't think a doctor has enough intelligence and you can't make that statement definitively. You can't say you will die if you try to have this child and be 100% that be a factual statement.
We have a very close friend of ours that we go to church with out in L.A. that we went to church with, and they had the test done when she was pregnant on whether your kid would have Down syndrome or not.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is a good example. I remember you telling me this before. You may have, in a long ago episode, talked about this.
Doctor said, yeah, as a
Down
very,
syndrome.
yeah, it's got it.
You need to abort this baby.
Got it.
You got to totally abort this baby.
They prepared themselves for a Down syndrome child.
Because they were going to have it.
Yep.
They said, you know what, we're going to have it.
Never had one.
The baby was never born?
He was born.
Okay.
Normal.
No
healthy.
Down syndrome.
Bouncing little lad. Crazy knucklehead.
You know, there's something about Down syndrome.
We passed on the test, by the way. On all three of our kids, we passed. We didn't. I said I don't even care. I want to know.
We don't need to know.
Doesn't matter.
We don't need to know. You know, there's something really interesting about Down syndrome's baby that makes me feel like this is definitely something from God. Did you know that Down syndrome, the percentage chance of you having a Down syndrome baby is much, much higher when the woman is a lot older.
Oh, and she was like 35. That's why they did the test. She was in her 30, 38, something like that.
Yeah. So you have all these children. Let's say you have a large family. You maybe have 5 children, something like that. Then all of a sudden, late in life, you have the whoopsie baby or something like that. The percentage chance of that being a Down syndrome baby is much, much higher, much higher. And then it makes me wonder, well, why is that? If everything is God's design, why is it that it's such a higher percentage chance?
Tell you not to do that. Have it when you're young.
No. No, that's not it. Mr. Devil's Advocate over there. No, a Down syndrome child needs to be taken care of.
Oh, a 19-year-old girl trying to take care of a Down syndrome baby with a 19-year-old husband.
Right. Now,
Woo!
if you're older in life, what happens? All your children grow up and they go and
right.
They start having grandchildren. You go and you play with the grandchildren. That's fine. But you pretty much have an empty nest.
Right? No.
You have to take care of this Down syndrome child. No empty nest. It's like a gift from God.
Oh, that's very weird.
And you know what? If you've ever met a Down syndrome child, it's relentlessly happy.
Right.
Super happy all the time. I've never seen an upset or sad Down syndrome child. And by the way, when
they
I
make
say
noise,
child,
though.
Well, when I say child, I mean a lot of them I've ever met or known or got, whatever, are adults.
Right.
And of course, they're still being taken care of by their parents.
And we have a family at our church here in Cincinnati that their youngest son has Down syndrome.
Yeah, I almost feel like it's a way for God to say, hey, you know what? I don't think I want you to have an empty nest.
Right.
You
Maybe
end up
so.
I'm not talking about you're raising a child that has Down syndrome. You're going to be taking care of that child all the way through adulthood.
Right.
And that's what happens. It's like God's way of saying, you know what? I don't think you need to be to have an empty nest.
If you look at it in that perspective, you could turn out to be a pretty happy family.
It's kind of interesting
instead of taking
that goes down.
Instead of taking it the other way. You could take it the wrong way.
It's very rare that you get these 19-year-olds, like you said, they have their first child and it's Down syndrome. It's rare.
Yeah.
It's a lot more common way, way late in life. It's like, I don't know. It's God doing his amazing miracle work.
So, the whole thing about abortion, Trump, pro-life stance.
I've never heard of any, I'm going to be honest with you. Every election cycle, we get this whole bunch of presidential candidates. Some of them never get above 1%. And then they drop out early. So we always get these extremists, right? We get these far right-wing extremists. We get the far left-wing extremists. And they all drop out early. Even if you include them, I don't know if there's been somebody so openly pro-life as Donald Trump. It's crazy.
Right.
It's amazing. Because usually They stay away from that. It's not been deemed the third rail of politics, but it might as well be. There's been all these right wingers that very gingerly, like they're walking on eggshells, say that I'm totally 100% pro-life, but they do it very, very gingerly, and they kind of make it sound ambiguous, so that the pro-choicers are like, well, I know he said pro-life, but you know what? He doesn't really mean it. But not Donald Trump.
Right, no.
Donald Trump's just like, no. No, pro-life 100% no matter what. It's amazing. And then blasts on her for... he got pretty graphic.
Oh, he did, ripping the baby from the mother's womb, literally tearing apart the limbs and ripping the baby out of that mother all the way up into its birthday.
And I was worried that he went down that road because, number one, there's two things happening. Number one, you're alienating the pro-choicers, which at this point in the game could be worrisome. And then the other problem is that you're just flat out getting graphic. Right, which
however, pro-lifers.
Well, pro-lifers are
they
right on.
Yeah, they want the graphic to be seen all over.
Right, but is that really necessary to win the presidency?
So I think it was a solidification of his base of religious.
Oh, and by the way,
religious base that said, "I don't care what Trump was talking about, grabbing people in the posse. I don't care. We are religious leaders, and we stand with him."
You know, it's funny, that whole grab by the posse thing. That may have actually been said while he was still a pro-choicer, because he explained during the primary the moment he went from pro-choice to pro-life.
Right.
And after the last debate, anybody that dares try to say that, oh, he's just saying he's pro-life, he's not really. He's on tape in the past saying he's pro-choice. Let me tell you something. He changed, and I 100% believe that he is dead serious about his pro-life stance.
Oh, I agree.
Mainly because I was pro-choice for a long time. I had become pro-life, and I can tell you right here and now on this show that I'm pro-life under all including rape.
We talked about this.
Yeah, that's a very controversial. Glenn Beck, he can't reconcile. He can't do it. He's like, yeah, if a woman gets raped, you took her choice to have a child away, because that's the whole thing.
It's all about the choice of the woman,
right,
to have a baby or not.
And our position is her choice happens when she decides to have sex, and rape takes that choice away from her.
However, in the case with my wife, in your situation, we attempted to have a third child by choice.
Right.
It wasn't happening.
Right. So you raped her.
Yeah, right. So I took her choice away, and we had a baby.
What?
No. So our first two children came along quick and easy. We didn't even know it happened. Wow. Got pregnant. Got done. She wanted to attempt a third one.
And
it was not happening. She was going by the Chinese charts and
right, because originally you wanted to conceive at a very precise moment of the year, and so that's what you tried, and it didn't happen.
No, not only that, but she was reading books on how do you choose the gender of your baby and this and that was making it worse. It just wasn't working, and so we just gave up and we just forgot about it.
And all of a sudden, she was pregnant.
And God said, "Here, now you're pregnant."
Yeah, that was an interesting lesson that you taught. So this is how I became pro-life, even in the part of rape. I was telling Brian, you're going to make this woman who was brutally raped by some guy have to raise the offspring of this rapist, who probably at some point, if not the whole time, is going to look like her rapist, right?
Right.
So she's got to look at this rapist in the the child of this rapist her whole life, and then Brian was like, "Listen," and then he told me the story you just heard about trying to conceive, and then that's when he taught me a valuable lesson in life that I will take with me forever, and that is that rapist did not create that child.
No,
God created that child.
Yeah.
And once he said that, it was like this giant light bulb went on in my head, like, Oh, that's where I was wrong. I'm all over here talking about how this rapist created this child that this woman has to now raise. And no, God created the child.
And let me help you wrap your head around that just a little bit more. It would be take out the violence, take out the eye to eye, and take out the graphic part of the sex. Take that away. Go to a local hospital or wherever the pregnancy center, whatever they do this, and have them inject you with the sperm of a donor to have a child.
Right.
Like, say your husband, say you're in a relationship that's alternative, and it makes it impossible for the two of you to do as God has set up.
Right.
And
if you're a donor recipient, that person didn't create that child.
No.
And neither did the person who is injecting.
Right.
It happens through the process that God decides, okay,
right,
let's have a child.
So I know it's a traumatic situation, and you're hearing it from a guy, and I don't know, and I don't understand because it's never happened to me. But rape obviously is a very violent and very life-changing event.
And it does take her choice away, and that's really sad. But you don't make up for her lack of choice by killing God's creation.
Correct. Anthony Robbins, Think and Grow Rich, talks a lot about mind control and the way that you can get past these things, get over.
Oh, and that's a good point.
And when you come back, when you go through that fire and you've been tested and your armor has been melded, it's become stronger. You become stronger. Your whole mind becomes stronger because you made it through that fire. When you come out on the other side of that, you are a changed and a different person, and maybe God has a plan for you now, so that you can then help others. You can be somebody to champion for others.
Right, and another thing, you talk about the violence and the experience that the woman has when she becomes a victim of rape. You don't unring that bell.
No.
And killing the child
doesn't unring it.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, I'm glad that experience is over. I can move on now. No. You've experienced it, and you're not going to unexperience it, right?
Right.
So killing the child, who is an innocent bystander, a third party, if you will, God's creation, is not going to unring the bell. So don't act like it will.
Right.
So anyway.
And
I'm glad that we talked about that, because I think that we really did a good job of, hopefully anybody listening to this there's a lot of people out there that don't understand how can you not allow for abortion and rape. And I hope we did a good job of explaining that, and I hope Glenn Beck's listening, because he doesn't get it.
I tried to Google it real quick. You can probably look it up, but there is one. 10 famous celebrities who were conceived by rape. Or were born of rape.
Well, we're not advocating for that.
No, but there is a famous pastor. I can't find him off the top of my head. Very, very famous pastor that led a lot of people to Christ, that he himself was born, conceived from rape.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, folks.
Yeah.
There's a life to be lived. Anyway, so Trump pro-life, Hillary, kill him up into the... Trump even said it. She
didn't deny it.
Yeah, she's okay with the birthday.
She did not deny it. She didn't even attempt to say no. I'm shocked.
I was shocked at her.
Most politicians would try to say, instead she just said, we need to have women have the right to murder people like this.
Right. She said, it's an intimate time that a woman has in her life when her and her doctor make that choice. What?
Doctors are wrong all the time. Leftists love to give so much power to men in white coats.
Oh, yeah. Doctors and scientists.
You got a white lab coat on.
And a clipboard and glasses and a pocket protector.
You have so much power in the leftist realm. So much power. They give everything. whatever you say goes.
Catch me if you can. Did he ever dress up in a...
Yeah, absolutely. He was in a white lab coat. Absolutely. And when he walked around and acted like he owned the place and had a white lab coat on, forget about it. And that all started with the cure to polio. Once polio was cured, doctors had all the power in the world, and guess what? It never stopped.
Polio is not that old, by the way, folks. My father, who's 73, 74, he had polio as a kid.
Right. He was one of the last victims, right?
Right. And he remembers it. And they caught it early enough. And the story goes they used like really scalding hot towels with water on his leg and just
it killed a lot of people.
On and on and on. The only thing that I've ever noticed, I mean, one calf is smaller than the other. Other than that, he runs marathons. He's healthy as a lark. I mean, you know.
He runs them on the side of a hill, though, right?
So. Right. Along the curb.
Oh, right.
Wow.
There you go. He's got to stay along the curb.
Jokes for the masses, people. Boy. Anyway, so, breaking news. This goes along with what we're doing right now in our show, in the media, and the cover-up.
Are we covering something?
John Podesta emails. WikiLeaks drops John Podesta emails number 16.
Number 16?
We're all the way up to 16.
Oh, 16th email?
16th dump.
Oh, wow.
I mean, we're in I think the 10th dump was 17,000 documents.
They should have started this earlier because...
They said they couldn't. They said that all the information, and I said it earlier in the show, but when WikiLeaks gets the information, they have to take the information, sift through it, and make it searchable, make it readable, make it viable. There's a process that has to do. It takes a lot of man hours to go through 17,000 documents.
I mean, it might be automated or somehow fast-tracked.
They say they have a big team.
Okay. I mean, but it has to be done.
Right.
What has to be. And during that processing, they obviously alter the words and make it say that's what the allegations are.
Sure. Well,
by the way, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because people who actually authored the emails would come out immediately and say, "Whoa!" And they would show
they have a carbon copy of it.
They have it on there. This would be so debunked. Do you realize that if anybody whose emails are a part of the WikiLeaks dumps,
you mean like a federal judge?
Anybody.
Okay.
If they are in the WikiLeaks dump, and they attempted to alter their email, all they would have to do is bust open their hard drive and find that email and say, "Aha, here's proof that my email has been altered by WikiLeaks or the source that WikiLeaks got it from, which they say is Russia. That Vladimir Putin is tapping away on his keyboard,
right,
influencing our election because his best BFF in the world, Donald Trump, needs to win the presidency." So, but none of that has happened. How many emails have come out so far?
It's in the 20s of thousands. Like I said,
hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands?
Tens of thousands.
Okay.
We're in tens of thousands.
Nobody's come forward to show proof that any of this has been altered. They're just saying that because it could have been altered, that we're going to go ahead and say that that's what happened.
James Comey, if you're listening, I know you are. Go ahead and contact the dcd.uscourts.gov.
Okay.
Okay, get a hold of that government branch.
Will do.
And ask them about John Podesta using his Gmail account to email Richard Leon,
okay,
a federal judge.
Okay.
And they're going back and forth on congressional investigation.
So a judge, and how is this bad?
Because Leon Podesta is talking to this federal judge about the congressional investigation into the Freedom of Information Act.
Okay.
And Congress was wondering why the Freedom of Information Act was not being allowed for certain, like Mark Levin's Institute suing the government to see this information.
Right.
So Podesta is working with a federal judge to make sure us conservatives don't see nothing.
So it's kind of like a collusion operation to make sure. So he's pretty much telling the judge, hey, listen, this stuff right here, I want you to rule it should not be released.
Right. How do we work that out?
Now, is that illegal for him to contact the judge about that kind of stuff?
While the situation is being under investigation?
Well, that would be when you
tampering of evidence?
I mean, what if he says, I'm
pay
not
pay to play?
Okay, that could be it. You could end up saying, hey, I arrived with a duffel bag.
You know what? You want to know how Loretta Lynch got her job?
No, yeah. How did she get her job?
Well, previous to that job, she was appointed by Obama. She was appointed by Obama in the job that she has now. But previous to that, she was appointed to a very cushy job by the Clintons in upstate New York. A very, very cushy job as a judge.
Okay.
By the Clintons. And so now fast forward to Obama, who actually knows her and knows that she'll do what she needs to do to protect this administration, because Obama's mentor, Frank Marshall Davis, and Loretta Lynch's dad worked together in Chicago. And Loretta and Obama knew each other growing up.
Oh, well, are you surprised? There's several cabinet members that are that situation where just childhood friend or whatever, a part of the some sort of red diaper baby club or something.
It's like the same thing, like Bill Clinton meeting with Loretta Lynch while Hillary is under investigation.
Oh, this is so bad.
While the decision is being put together by the FBI, Comey. It's in his lap.
A red herring.
He
could have called her. Or do you think that he felt it necessary to be there in person? That this could not be accomplished with a phone call. This has to be in person.
Yeah.
Like, I need to show her my presence. I need to show her my presence.
Like you show all women your presence, Mr. Clinton. But come on, tie the robe up, put your drawers back on.
That is what's going to happen if she becomes president. It's going to be robe just happens to be open when he thinks it's closed, and he's acting like he doesn't know it's open.
Oh, speaking of that, did you see the look on his face? It's gone viral. Bill Clinton's facial look.
Oh, you mean during the second debate?
Yeah, during the second debate.
Second debate, yeah.
When all the 3-4 accusers sitting there, he raped 3 of them.
We know for sure he raped one, right?
Right. Well, and the other 2 claimed to have been raped. Right. But the third one was the woman that Hillary raped. I mean, got the guy off for rape and slammed this 12-year-old girl, saying that she had desires for the older men, and she's
like that.
At 12,
he didn't rape her because you can't rape the willing, but she's 12.
Right. By the way,
destroyed her as a 12-year-old.
I think it was WikiLeaks number 13 or 14. One of the dumps.
How do you even keep track of it all?
There is an email confirming that Hillary Clinton, yes, it's a whole thing of Hillary Clinton destroying that girl.
Really?
And destroying her. Yeah.
You would find that in an email this recent? Because we're talking this happened a long, long, long time ago.
Right.
70s.
They talk about it in the email about this woman coming up. So that's why they're talking about it now.
Okay.
And so it was going back and forth about it, and it was laid out, and it's like, well.
The big scandal is that she laughed about knowing that her client was guilty, and she got him off anyway.
Right. She had they're trying to say, she was laughing about not having trust in the lie detector test, that he got off. She's like, I can't believe he got off on a lie detector, but I got him off.
Right. She was bragging about her ability to do that. So, yeah, she obviously is a soulless human being, has no empathy for humanity whatsoever, which is why it didn't bug her at all that you can snap the spinal cord of somebody with this partial birth abortion, which is basically all the way up until the day of birth. You can decide to crush the skull and snap the spinal cord in order to kill the child. I mean, she didn't bat an eye. She was just like, well, you know what? we should be allowed to do that.
Dude, she didn't bat an eye at all. She didn't flinch. She did nothing.
Scary.
She was on The View, and this backs it all up. She was on the liberal View with Whoopi, I'm a liberal, and I'm racist Goldberg, and all the other nut jobs on there. Clinton was on there, and That's So Raven, whatever the that Raven girl.
Yeah.
She was actually trying to help Hillary define when is the day of where's the line in the sand where you can't have an abortion. And she's like, well, our laws are up to the birthday. I mean, she literally said, and then Raven and the liberals are trying to corral her to bring her back.
Like,
and
no, you can't say that.
No, she went to the day of birth.
So really, I mean, I'm all for Trump, and I think it's great. But there's a lot of people that would call his pro-life position extreme. But we could easily say that her pro-death, pro-murder babies, infanticide position is even more extreme. So
right.
I'm not worried about it.
Oh, hey, speaking about that, I'm
not worried about what I mean by I'm not worried about his position being too extreme for voters, because hers is probably even more extreme to the other side. Right.
And this came out this week, too, all a part of this WikiLeaks, all a part of these scandals. And Eric Trump responded to that email that we just talked about the federal judge colluding with Podesta.
Okay.
Eric Trump replied to that tweet and said, what a joke. If video confession from a paid DNC operative who has been to the White House 340 times isn't sufficient enough, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
WikiLeaks showed this week that the disruptor, the DNC guy caught on video, has been to the White House 340 times.
And what was he responding to when he tweeted that?
The email between John Podesta and the federal judge during the Freedom of Information lawsuit.
Oh, well, I mean, what was he saying sufficient evidence of?
If the video confession
Yeah.
of the paid DNC operative who's been to the White House 340 times isn't enough evidence, I don't know what it is. Like, he's saying this email.
Isn't enough evidence of
collusion.
Voter
fraud, collusion.
Right.
They're doing bad things. Eric Trump is saying that all this is so bad, we've got it on video, we've got it on paper, we've got it on email, we've got it everywhere. Why is this not getting out? Why is the media not doing their job?
Well, because they're actively suppressing it. So we're going into our third hour of the program here. We're at Smith Radio, SMYTHRADIO. Make sure you follow us. I promised everybody in the tweet I sent out at the beginning of the show that we are going to show you how... What are you looking at? Wow.
Clinton camp pays Miley Cyrus to campaign and travel with them.
Oh, yeah.
America needs a good role model. If you haven't seen Miley Cyrus, do not Google her. I'm telling you, unless you're ready for all out and out adult porn.
Make sure children are not in the room when you're looking up Miley Cyrus.
Because she has done some very adult actress
Well, she is an adult, but I mean, I wouldn't want my daughter to do that even when she is an adult. But okay,
right.
So in this hour, I promised everybody that we were going to show and explain how Trump is going to win in a landslide, and we have some sound bites that we'll play for you and discuss. And wanted to know if our producer over there wants to dive right into it, or what do you want to say about how Trump is going to win this landslide? Give me one believe.
It's amazing that you called me today and you said, "Hey,
depressed.
Hey, for the show, depressed." I'm like, no, I don't watch that. I don't like being depressed.
I always listen to it.
It's like it's become your job.
Well, I have to know what the evil enemies are doing and what they're saying and what they believe. And by the way, Frank Luntz is a part of this.
Frank Luntz, well, you reminded me of this. Frank Luntz in the very, very, very first debate a year and a half ago, Trump and the 17 caricatures.
Oh, you're talking about the primary debate. Yeah, very first one.
The 17 caricatures up on stage.
Yeah.
the jokes and suits. And after it was over, Frank Luntz said, well, this is it for Trump. Ain't no good for him. Done.
Hey, in his defense, I actually live tweeted that event, and I remember thinking to myself, oh, gosh, this is not going to go over well with the voters, the way Trump is acting. I thought it was very angry. He was yelling a lot. He had the scowl on his face instead of smiling.
Right.
And he was he had his voice raised really high, and I just said, oh, this is not going to work. This is going to make his poll numbers are going to plummet. And I was a little bit concerned because I was hoping that he would mop the floor with everybody. And I think I may have even tweeted to you, text to you, Brian, that I don't think this is going to go over well with voters. And I was dead wrong. But the difference is Frank Luntz actually had voters in front of him.
Oh, paid voters?
Paid whatever, however much he paid.
I don't know how he gets his focus group together, but I think they've been doing a little bit better job at it.
A little bit.
But
in the early going, they missed the mark big time.
Right, but his focus group has picked Trump in all three.
The original one, they didn't. They said,
oh, that's right. It was really close. It was like in a couple of... It was like 10 to 12 or something.
Oh, that was the most recent one. 14 to 12 was the most recent one.
But the very
first one, all of his focus group said, oh, yeah, Trump looked terrible. He was bad. He lost this thing, whatever. And they were the only ones in the entire United States that felt that way because overwhelmingly all the polls, including the scientific ones, the snap polls.
The ones where guys in white lab coats.
Everything. They were all like, wow.
Forensic polls.
Everybody loved him. And the reason is we're all angry at the government. We're angry at everybody that's been running it and everything they've been doing. And so when he expressed anger, that resonated with them. Right, and I was looking at it from a political pundit's point of view, which is, when a presidential candidate acts like that, it doesn't go over well with the voters. In general.
In the past, however, we have suffered for 8 long years of Obama getting away with whatever he wants. And the GOP, we gave the GOP the House and the Senate in 2010 because Obama was elected, because Obama jammed and paid and colluded with Congress and the Senate to get Obamacare through.
2014, after he got reelected, was an even bigger landslide than 2010. It was so overwhelming, and it just leaves everybody scratching their head. Well, the reason is because we really want them to stop.
We want you to do your job up there on Capitol Hill.
They didn't.
You need to drain the swamp.
Right. The establishment Republicans said, hey, new guys who all got elected in 2014, hey, let me bring you over to the where we drink our tea and our cheese and our wine, and show you how it's done around here. And of course, all these new guys were like, "Whoa, really? This is how it goes?" And then they would warn them, "Don't you go down the
Rubio."
Oh, he's the perfect
Rubio. There was promise for Rubio at one point in time until he became soulless.
Yeah, well, he was part of the Gang of Eight. And he was to come out with some sort of a bill that was going to deal with our illegal immigration problem. And when they came out, he was all touting, like really confident that they came out with a great solution, which pretty much focused on amnesty. And he came out acting like, oh, man, we got it now.
And he was surrounded by all these old dog, senior citizen congressmen.
In his defense, he had since come out and said, not only do I know that I'm wrong, but I am really, really sorry, and I'm not going to let that happen again. And Sean Hannity has come out multiple times and said, you know what, I think it's time to forgive Rubio. I'm okay with that. If he truly has learned his lesson, he's a young guy, fine. But believe me, I was so angry for so long at Rubio, and it's the reason why he lost the primary.
Right.
Gang of Eight.
Right.
So anyway.
So we're playing Frank Luntz first?
Yeah, we need to explain to people through our we'll play these. So
I got it split up into 2 minutes.
Frank Luntz wasn't the first person on. We'll play him second.
Dickerson and the other guy. I don't know who the guy is that he interviewed.
To find out who he was, but what we need to do is play this first one. What he came on, it's all like a 4-minute clip, right?
Right.
We'll talk you through it as he plays it, but it's amazing because you have to read between lines. This is the one where we have to read between the lines. When you listen to this, try to think, based on everything you've learned from following Smith Radio, from following Your Voice, from following Mike Cernovich, and read between the lines, and you will discover that an admission has been made in this clip.
Morning after the last
Oh, you go ahead.
Sorry about
Go ahead. Oh wait, no, you got the audio.
Yeah, I was looking for the guy's name.
the guy's name. I'm doing
Yeah.
the same thing.
Okay.
Me and you are both doing the same thing. We're both trying to find the actual.
But it is John Dickerson on the Face the Nation.
And we're back with our battleground tracker.
And
we're back with our battleground tracker.
Still very tight.
Hillary
In Florida,
Clinton,
the race is still very tight. Hillary Clinton is up 3 points over Donald Trump. That's 46% to 43%. And in Texas, those numbers are reversed. Trump is up 46%, and Clinton is at 43%.
Stop it real quick.
CBS News
So
elections.
we got one battleground state that has him up. That has Hillary up. That's Florida.
But that's not
That's a couple
true.
points. Well, we'll get to that in a second.
Okay, sorry.
Let's just take him at face value first. And then the other one is Texas. The guy's name is Anthony Salvanto. He's who's going to be talking here in a minute. The other one is Texas, where they have Trump with a slightly. Let me tell you something. We have people in Texas.
We've got connections.
Several.
Connections.
Carrie Kellerman's one of them.
Okay.
She's one of the co-hosts on Your Voice. So we have connections, and he's not going to lose Texas. It's not going to happen. It's not going to be close. It never has been close for any Democrats ever. It's just simply not going to happen. Even Cruz, who is from Texas, has come out and given one of the greatest endorsements of Trump I have ever heard in my life. If you get a chance, read it sometime.
Was that when he was phone banking for Trump?
Was he?
He was on the phone banking for Trump.
didn't
Somebody
know
snapped a picture of it and said, "Hey, look, Cruz is phone banking for Trump."
I didn't even know that. That's kind of cool.
Yes.
So he's a volunteer.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. He's going door to door. All right, so go ahead and keep playing it.
Oh, come on, Mr. Producer.
Director Anthony Salvanto joins us now. All right, Anthony, we're going to get to Florida. But why were you in Texas this week?
Well, it's one of the most Republican states in the country, but it tells a broader story, and that is that Donald Trump is underperforming with a lot of key groups Republicans usually do well with. White men, white women, white college-educated women. I would caution.
Let me just say that none of that is true by the polls that the Republicans have taken and internal polls that Trump has taken. He's doing very, very well with white men. He's doing a lot better than Hillary is doing with people that do not have degrees.
And all these other
like blue collar workers. He trounces Hillary with blue collar workers.
He's also Democratic demographics. Historically, like black vote, Latino vote, he's doing better than Romney and McCain did. So, and the gender gap is actually better with Trump than it was with Romney. A lot of people don't know that. Romney had
because Hillary's
gap.
Hillary's trying to misogynist, sexist, homophobic, Islamophobic, all these phobia. That's Trump. I get the women.
Do you know
get all the women.
That Romney had a 12-point deficit with women with Obama, and Trump has 8-point deficit. He's doing better with women. Okay, so keep.
I don't think that Hillary Clinton is in a position to outright win Texas at this point, but it does tell that story of why things are generally closer overall. And
how could? What does he mean? Win outright? Texas. Is there a gray?
He knows that he's not. Oh, I see what you're saying. The wording was silly, but he knows that she's not going to win Texas. It's silly.
Just like when Robbie Mook was talking about winning Utah. Not going to happen, folks. It's not. Glenn Beck, they took him to the woodshed. Say, quit talking about our religion.
About Egg McMuffin.
Yeah, quit talking about Egg McMuffin.
Well, it's his religion too. But anyway, go ahead.
She's up with Hispanics there too, which helps. Florida. Now, what's the situation on the ground there?
Well, Hillary Clinton is up. She's up 3. She's still low on a number of key measures, like can you fix the economy? Do you understand regular people? But
what does that tell you? Do you understand regular people? Oh,
hashtag Everyday Americans.
Exactly.
Because in her email, she said, I hate everyday Americans.
Now, we're reading between the lines what he's saying. What he's about to say is going to be very revealing. Listen to
She
this.
does have one thing Donald Trump does not, and that is near complete support from her own party. She's got 9 and 10 Democrats. Trump has 8 and 10 Republicans.
All right, stop right there. This is the key. She has more support of Democrats, higher percentage of Democrats are on board with Hillary than Trump does of Republicans. He said, so I got the graphic in front of me. 91% of Democrats support Clinton, while only 82% of Republicans support Trump. Here's the thing. There are a lot more people that, when asked, are very wishy-washy about Trump, who would normally vote instantly for any Republican. I promise you that the 20%, if 8 and 10 people, if 8 and 10 Republicans support Trump, I promise you that the last 2 out of 10 Republicans who say they don't support Trump, promise you they are not going to vote for Hillary. That's number one. Number two, that means they got to vote for somebody. Okay? Who do you think they're going to vote for? Are they going to vote for Stein?
McMuffin?
Are they going to vote
Johnson?
for Johnson?
No.
Are they going to write somebody in? Are they going to write in Cruz? Are they going to leave it blank? Are they going to stay at home? No, a vast majority of those people are going to say, I can't stomach the thought of letting Hillary win. And they're going to know that the only way to stop her is to put Trump there. There's going to be people who actually do a write-in or some sort of a protest vote. There might even be some idiot that even puts in Hillary Clinton. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be very, very tiny. You just got to put yourself in these people's shoes. They're going to end up pulling the lever for Trump.
I'm seeing Trump signs all over the west side of Cincinnati.
There you go.
Trump signs up and down the road.
Right. And I'm telling you, these 2 out of 10, these 20% or 18% to be precise, are not going to either vote for Hillary or vote for somebody that's not going to make a difference. I think that this is going to be a landslide. I predict Florida, and this is probably the 100th time I've said this. Florida is going to go for Trump by double digits, and here's the main reason why. He wasn't supposed to win it in the primary, and he absolutely landslided.
Destroyed little boy Romney, little boy Rubio.
Rubio had to immediately drop out. He was like, "Oh, I can't even wait."
So when he gave his last speech was on a high school football field in the end zone, standing in the back of a pickup truck, surrounded by all of 12 people.
Rubio?
15.
Rubio.
Yeah.
Oh,
they only had the lights on in the end zone, and it was at night
because they didn't want to turn all the lights on.
And it was just
because it could waste electricity.
Yep. And his campaign was out of money; they couldn't pay for the bill.
They said, "Hey, can you lend us some electricity?"
Yikes!
Anyway, that was really very critical.
And something else that is telling. I mean, we're reading. We're not reading the tea leaves. We are reading and telling you what has happened in the past to confirm what we're saying now. What has happened in the past, some of Donald Trump's largest events that he has ever had, tens of thousands of people, Florida events.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Florida events have been enormous, especially right after the second debate. He went straight to Florida, and they showed those pictures.
Oh,
and the video of it was just, there was 17,000 inside and 15,000 outside.
Gosh, I didn't even know
they couldn't get in.
Wow. Here's something you need to know about Florida. A vast majority of the people who pull the lever for the blue, for Democrats, are New Yorkers.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something right now. There are Democrats, hardcore Democrats, that are from New York. They grew up in Manhattan. They have their retirement home in Florida. And they are secretly like, you know what? I really want to see the old man become president. There's like this allegiance. The New York is a fellow New Yorker.
I'm telling you, it's possible he could take New York.
I've said that. I think that if he squeaks that out, that will be the largest upset in all of election history.
Except for the time,
but we did
Reagan,
call that.
Except for the time Reagan took it.
We have called New York. I have a caveat to that, and that is that this is my really risky pick. I know the odds are so against him winning it that I do start my prediction of that by saying not likely. Florida, though, double digits. You watch. He's going to win that state by double digits.
Like if we were in Vegas at the casino and the odds makers talking about New York, I'd probably throw $50 on it.
On what? On Florida?
Yeah, on New York. On him taking New York.
$50. That, and you know what? It'd probably be 10 to 1 odds.
And I would walk away with $5,000.
500, I think.
500? Okay.
Yeah, that'd be
$50 on 5. Yeah,
that would give you $500.
Okay,
10 to 1.
10 to 1.
That's a pretty big underdog.
Okay, I walk away with $500 on $50. That's all right. However, Florida, you probably what would the odds makers put on Florida?
Well, I mean, a lot of people are calling it a toss-up. They're acting like it's going back and forth. But there's so many things in Florida that they are just completely ignoring. They're ignoring the monster vote. Do you know what the monster vote is?
No.
Okay, so here's the monster vote real quick. We talked about it a little bit on Your Voice, and I didn't know at the time, but I got to explain to it. So here's the monster vote. Did you know that only like 50% of all eligible voters actually vote?
Correct.
Well, guess what the other 50% is that don't vote? They're the monster vote. If the monster vote turns out, all bets are off.
Do you think the monster vote will show up?
Maybe not all 50%, but what if half of them show up? That's
25%.
They think
10%. Say 10%.
There are experts out there that think the monster vote is going to cause the landslide for Trump.
The fracture
it's
of the system.
It's the people that are never called because they're never in the system.
Right.
They never vote, but they are eligible and registered. They just don't ever vote.
And they're sick and tired, and they're about to stick their head out the window and scream, "I'm
how many
mad
times
as
have
hell."
you heard? This is anecdotal, but how many times have you heard call-ins to radio stations that say, "I've never voted in my life, but this will be my first time, and I am voting for Trump because we need a change." I've heard it a lot.
Really?
There's a lot of people calling into these radio stations that said they've never voted before.
And let me tell you something about call-ins to radio stations. You have to be
dedicated,
special individual to do that. I've done it, but it took me a long time. But I did it like once or twice. I talked to Rush.
Yeah,
I did it once or twice.
You're looking for that audio, aren't you?
Yeah, but the thing is that people don't normally call in to radio shows. Like if Rush has,
you're going to get a busy signal.
If Rush has millions of listeners nationwide, there's probably less than 1% are actually on hold, on wait, and never get through.
I've called in Glenn Beck before, and very frustratingly, it rang.
Yeah, it'll
for like
do that
3 minutes,
and then hangs up on you.
And it hangs up automatically, and you're like, no.
He's got your number on the read. He knows who you are. He knows you're calling in.
He's never answered.
Well, I know, but he knows that Smith Radio is not down with him anymore.
Oh, yeah. I would love to get a hold of him and say,
strangle that one.
Anyway, so keep playing it because there is more. This is a great audio.
Here we go.
It's plagued him all along through this campaign, and it's just enough to cost him.
Debates are about ginning up support in your own group, and Hillary Clinton seems to have done that coming out of her 3 debates. Is there anything Donald Trump can do in the last 18 days in Florida to help himself?
Well, voters say they think Donald Trump is talking about the things that Donald Trump, cares about and not the things that they want to hear. And one of those things they say is change Washington, shake up the political system. So that's one rhetorical place that he can go.
One of the other things you did, Anthony, in Florida is you went back to those Republican primary voters who picked Donald Trump big over Marco Rubio, the sitting senator in the state. Is there any remorse among those voters in Republicans in Florida?
No, not really. In fact, if they had a time machine and could go back to the Republican primary this spring, they would still vote for Donald Trump.
Now, this is the key right here. This is the key. All these people, he landslided Florida in the primary against the sitting
current senator
Rubio,
yeah.
From the state, who's running, who was the media. He was a media darling.
Because the media loved him. My wife was down for Rubio.
Yeah, he's a pretty boy. Boy. And he actually speaks great. He just doesn't know what he's saying, but it sounds good.
And he speaks Spanish.
Okay. But I mean, he has a great, like when he goes on these monologues, it sounds great.
Except the time that he, the very last meeting he gave before he dropped out, when he took the low road and tried to make fun of Trump and started reading off Trump's tweets.
Okay, so he messed up there. When he went the low road, it didn't work. Okay, but here's the point. All those people that voted for Trump over Rubio were asked if they regret their vote.
You got any buyer's remorse there?
And if they could go back in time, would they vote for him again? And they said, no, we don't regret it. We would vote for him again. Those people are going to vote for him in the election against Hillary. He is going to landslide Florida. It's going to be a 2-point deficit for Hillary. He's going to win it by a double digit. It's going to be a double-digit win for Trump in Florida. And they're talking about how Hillary, they're calling it a leaning blue, leaning Hillary. Ain't going to happen.
No.
Not even close.
No.
Residents of Florida are telling me they're all for Trump here.
And like I said, some of his largest rallies to date have been in Florida. Hands down, Florida.
Dude, flat out. He's going to blow Florida away. He's going to shock all these morons who are trying to figure out how we can make it look like Hillary is going to win Florida. All right, keep going.
And what I think that tells you is, even though they say he's got some flaws as a candidate at this point, the Republican base is still closer to, and Donald Trump is still closer to the Republican base than anything that their leadership has to offer.
What does that mean?
That means he resonates with the people.
With Republicans.
Yes.
They're talking about all this infighting with Republicans. They're telling these idiots on Meet the Press that, no, he resonates with me as a Republican. So it sounds to me like the party's unified.
Well, not only that, but listen, the people in the party, the GOP establishment, the rhinos, the John McCain's, the Lindsey Graham's, the Paul Ryans, all of them who came out and disavowed Trump to walk away from Trump, we were happy. Go. Walk away. Quit your job. Go home and go away. And the majority of the people, Trump's base, is like, yes, drain the swamp.
Yeah, exactly.
Nancy Pelosi, Hillary Clinton.
We've had Graham on here before.
Yeah. Drain the swamp, take Graham
Y'all
with
can go to hell.
Oh, no.
Oh, good old Lindsey Graham.
Yeah, drain them all. And we're going to get to this later on, but in Trump's Gettysburg speech, he said, term limits.
Oh, that's so important.
My first 100 days, term limits.
And for those of you constitutionalists out there, we know that Trump can't write these laws and all that kind of stuff.
Obama could.
But yeah, right. But Trump is going to be able to go to Congress and say, guys, get this done. Let's figure out what do you need from me. Let's just get this done. And he may even throw up, I won't run in 4 years. I think that's a great idea. He's 70 years old. I don't know if I want a 78-year-old President Trump. If he can get everything done in 4 years, he could walk away. He could use that as leverage. He could say, listen, if you want me out of here in 4 years, get this done.
Right. No,
That'd
absolutely.
be great leverage. Anyway.
I agree.
And that's why he's been trying to talk a little bit about draining the swamp in Washington, but he's really been talking about fraud. What do Republican voters say in Florida about fraud?
Well, Republicans overwhelmingly think that it exists, that it is widespread. But here's the kicker, John. They think that Donald Trump would actually win the presidency were it not for fraud. And that's a broader loss of faith in institutions and somewhat uniquely, exceptionally.
Okay, so if it weren't for fraud, that Donald Trump would win. That's what voters are saying. That if it were not for fraud, Donald Trump will win. Yeah.
He's saying that voters are saying this.
Yeah, voters are saying that if it weren't for fraud, Donald Trump would win.
And is it because the voters are listening to Trump, or they actually believe there's voter fraud somehow, some way?
They don't have to listen to Trump. They listen to James Okeef.
Okay, undercover.
For all those Democrats out there who obviously have never heard of James Okeef, who have been destroying in the comments section of YouTube videos featuring liberals, go watch the James Okeef videos. Educate yourself. Your party is in a massive nationwide conspiracy to commit voter fraud. I mean, look, we've all been worried about voter fraud. We've joked about it on this show for years.
We know how easy it is to get somebody to vote and cart them around in wagons.
And the only thing your side has said in response is that voter fraud cases are so few and far between that it's clearly has no effect on any election in any state, because the actual charges and convictions on voter fraud are in the tens nationwide historically.
Not tens of thousands.
No, tens.
Should be tens of thousands, but tens.
That's the problem. You just said it right there. That's telling me, I'm telling you that this is what it tells me. It tells me that not enough cases are being prosecuted.
Not only that, but the punishments for the cases are so minimal.
Oh, it's a slap on the wrist.
Right. No. And if you're doing it for the DNC, for the Democrat Party, dude, they've got your back.
Right.
They've got a judge, they've got a lawyer, and they've got money.
The American institutions that we see coming out right now.
Right. So they think it's not just that fraud happens, but that the election will be stolen. Now, you on election night look all over the whole country, and you have for various cycles. What's your feeling about just this idea of an election being stolen?
Well, think about how decentralized this whole election system is. What I see on election night is 3,000 counties, hundreds of thousands of precincts, and they're all coming in from all across the country. They're counted locally. They're counted by your friends, by your neighbors, by your county officials.
Hold on. This guy obviously didn't listen to Smith Radio last week or the James Okeef tape, which, by the way, we did scoop the methodology of stealing the election.
He is taking word for word the talking points from Obama.
Oh, really?
Obama said this exact thing.
I didn't know that.
He said this exact thing. Said, "Hey, come on, hey, come on, man. It's your friends and your family counting these votes. Don't blame me."
Yeah, they're counting the fraudulent votes.
Blame your friends.
They don't know. They're just counting the votes.
Small town Christians, they're counting the votes. Blame them Christians.
Right, but where did those votes come from?
Christians are
It
cheap.
could be a giant box.
Christians
from
are cheap.
It's a giant box of absentee ballots that were created
overseas in Iran.
Well, no, I mean, they can be done in an office somewhere in America. But we already talked about this really super short version of what we broke on Sunday that was reiterated by James Okeef on Monday, which is that you have a shell company that anybody can create, just a company, that creates paychecks for fictitious people. And those fictitious paychecks are thrown through a copier, and those are then sent to make registrations of fake people that they think the election office believes these are real people because the company's real, the paychecks are real, but they're based on fake names, and then they give a voter registration out. Those voter registrations are then, which you know now, once you get the voter registration, that's it, it's done. But what they do is then they apply for an absentee ballot. Once they receive the absentee ballots, these all could go to one place called a homeless shelter.
Right.
Whoever's running this, quote, homeless shelter would be the DNC operatives, who would then take all of these fake absentee ballots, fill out Clinton on all of them, send them back in, and not one of these fake people ever had to show their face anywhere. They're not even real.
Right.
Or they could be dead people. They could be already dead, but that's a little bit more tricky because the actual election board would know about the dead people. But if you made people up out of thin air and got registrations for them,
they would know about the dead people, but they don't disqualify or look into whether they're still alive.
Well, I talked to a relative of mine who does the elections.
Oh, okay.
He said that they find out right away if a vote. That's only in Ohio, though. There could be. What did he say? 3,000 counties with thousands and hundreds of thousands of precincts. There's going to be people out there where a dead person's vote actually slipped through.
Sure.
But according to my source here in Ohio, they find out that stuff right away. So I'm not too worried about it in our precincts here in Hamilton County. But certainly with all that, these things are going to fall through the cracks. But anyway, that's how voter fraud happens, and he's ignoring that.
Imagine something on that size and that scope. Shenanigans here and there, well, anything's possible. But that is a big and really uniquely American system.
Now, you also in your polling went looking for Trump voters who might not be in traditional polls for one reason or another. This is an argument the Trump people have been making, that their supporters are just not being captured in these polls that show Hillary Clinton ahead. What did you find?
A couple of things. One is when you look at the early vote coming in already, and there's already, say, 1 million ballots coming in from Florida, you see that people who are voting have already voted before. That's evidence right now against the idea that there's new folks coming into the system. And also, the Trump voters in our polls say that the people around them are also talking about voting for Donald Trump. So there doesn't seem to be a lot of hesitancy to talk about the fact that you're for Donald Trump.
All right, so two things he said there. Number one, early voting results only include people who have voted in the past. There's not this giant swell.
How does he say that? How does he say it? How does he quantify that? Is that
what's been? They would be able to have access to that kind of information as to because these are early voters. You can go right now in Ohio and vote.
Right.
You can just go downtown to the office, and there's like an election office downtown, real close to the jail, whatever.
So I don't have to go to my precinct that I'm dedicated to going to.
No, you don't have to. But what he's saying is those people showing up for early voting have a history of voting in the past, so they're not part of the monster.
What if I go downtown and I vote at that poll, and then I go to my precinct on election day and vote again?
Your name won't even be there. Or it'll be already crossed off.
Oh!
That's according to my official here in Cincinnati.
Well, maybe I should show up and see if my name's crossed off.
You should. Absolutely. Say I'm here to see if I'm on the roll.
I am registered Republican. Which means they definitely will cross me off.
Cross you off, yeah.
If I was a Democrat, I'd be wide open. Vote twice and vote early. Vote early, vote often.
Right. So that is you should go downtown and vote, and then show up on election day to see if your name's been taken off.
So this whole erection.
Oh, wow. This is supposed to be a
Woo! This whole election.
Did you bleep that out, Mr. Producer? Wow.
Rigged election.
I didn't know we were talking about Obama on the plane.
Yeah, and this was Obama on the plane. 07, this is Obama's rigged election speech.
The fact of the matter is that there are those in this race for the presidency who are touting their experience working the system. The problem is the system is not working for us. There are those who say what you should be looking for is somebody who knows how to play the game better.
Some bullshit.
But the problem is that the game is rigged. And what we need is somebody who's going to put an end to the game playing. Are too high to play the same political games over and over and over again.
What political games is he talking about?
He's talking about Hillary Clinton being rigged. The system's rigged for Hillary Clinton.
Wow. Okay.
That was his speech in 07 that rallied the people. Folks, we know the system's rigged. Democrats know the system's rigged.
It's been proven.
They're voting for Obama based on a rigged system, and that he's going to unrig the rigging, which was all a lie, and he knew he could get in by getting your emotions all riled up about a rigged system. We know Donald Trump knows the system. He says he knows the system. His Gettysburg speech, he talked about being in the system and knowing how rigged it is and how it has to end. And if there was ever anybody to end it, it'd be him. There's no pay for play will continue with him.
Sounds to me like what he ended up doing was, hey, I'm in office. You want to be in office next. I know you were trying to rig election against me during the primary. And I was wondering if you could go ahead and advise us on how we can make sure that it's completely stolen from here on out. It sounds like that's what he did, because that's what we're seeing, and it's been proven by the James Okeef tapes.
So if this clip, CNN was like in an outdoor event, and there were people behind them, you know how they do that sometimes at the debate.
Right.
And so they'll be there, and then people will be hanging out in the back. If this isn't more proof as to what we're saying about the landslide, see if you can listen really closely to the CNN coverage.
In the last two presidential elections, a Republican Party that cannot win African-American votes, that cannot win Latino votes, and now the Trump campaign is digging them deeper into a hole of what you would call the presidential abyss. I went state by state this morning looking at how Hillary Clinton...
Okay, so CNN is talking about how he's losing all these votes. The Latino vote he's lost, the female vote he's lost. The crowd in the background, a buddy of mine recorded this on his phone, recording the TV.
Okay.
Because apparently that's not illegal. That's not copyright.
Which is so weird. It doesn't get caught by the algorithm. That's what it is.
Okay. But in the background, there's a huge crowd behind CNN with giant Trump signs chanting,
screaming,
lock her up. And it's coming through the soundproof windows, the big glass windows and everything.
Yeah, I could hear them. That's amazing.
I mean, people just know it. They feel it. They know it.
I was telling somebody on YouTube today that all indications that we know of from our vast experience over the course of multiple presidential elections for years and years. There was the 2000 with George Bush, 2004 with George Bush, the 2008 with Obama, 2012, and now we're in 2016. 5 election cycles that I've been very, very closely, intimately following, very closely. And so I know a lot of the things that you want to look out for that would help you to decide whether or not one side's going to win or the other side's going to win. And I can tell you, based on everything, it could be how many Halloween masks have been sold. We have a bakery here in town where they're selling cookies where Trump's face is on one, and then they have another stack of cookies where Hillary's face is on the other. And those Trump cookies are always sold out, and they got Hillary cookies stacked up, going stale. There's like flies crawling.
We were there last night. We were at UDF last night with my daughter, picking up some late night festivities.
Okay.
And my daughter said, "Oh, there's one Trump cookie left." I said,
Okay.
"No, we got cookies at home. That's fine."
I bet you it was fresh.
Yeah. And the whole sleeve of cookies for Hillary was there.
Still there.
And then they had a third row of cookies that was
Johnson?
It was it was like chocolate chip. Like chocolate chip.
Okay.
Like it said other. It said Trump,
That's
Hillary, and other.
And the other was the one with all the chocolatey morsels.
It was almost gone. There were like 2 or 3 left of the other. All the Trump ones were gone, and all the Hillary ones were still there.
Okay, well, there you go.
Cookies don't lie, man.
Those people that are other, I would say a significant portion of them are, I'm telling you. Well, I would say, okay, let me play devil's advocate and tell you this. They're more likely to say, you know what, I want my vote to matter for something.
And if they're other, they are probably...
never Hillary.
Right.
Never Hillary.
I mean, they're listening to some of the WikiLeaks that are coming out, and they're like, oh, my Lord.
Right.
I know I don't normally vote, but good God.
They've got to be appalled by the DNC stealing of the election, thanks to James Okeef, the tapes of it. But anyway, this is the argument I got in. All these indications, the cookies, the Halloween masks, the rally sizes, the social media presence, the coverage on the news, what people are talking about, just everything. All the indications are pointing to Trump being the winner. Okay, except for one. And that one thing that we generally use as a pretty solid indicator is that there's a myriad of polls out there that are showing Hillary winning, either on a national poll or battleground polls. If you look at the Electoral College, seems to be indicating that she will win this thing. And that's the only thing. But here's the big thing, the big but. The but to that is that we know that the sampling, the Democrat weighting, the D plus 8, the D plus 12, to me that seems like an unfair and inaccurate weighting system that they're using to make it look like she's ahead by 1 or 2 points. That's number one. And number two, we know more so than any other election cycle ever that the entire mainstream media is so dishonestly for her that the shenanigans will be more likely now than ever when it comes to this kind of reporting of polling. So the only indicator that would show, well, maybe she will win, is vastly, hugely corrupted. And all the other indications that we use in the past to let us know who's going to win this thing is all for Trump.
Correct. It's the reason why they're doing this. One of two things.
I'm just mic dropping there. By the way.
Yeah, that's definitely a mic drop. One of two things. They're doing this. The results of them doing this, one or two things are going to happen. Them saying that Hillary is going to landslide, their attempt is to suppress voters and make them stay home, and you can't win. But we're calling it early. She's already won this.
Shaping the opinion.
However, there's a second part to that. The underestimating of the monster vote and underestimating the absolute hate for that nasty woman.
You said that twice, nasty.
Trump called her nasty in the
Right.
debate. She is nasty. The way she behaves, the way she acts. So people are going to look at this and say, oh, Lord, I can't let her win. And people that wouldn't normally vote just might come out and vote.
Mark Levin weighed in on the nasty woman comment. Apparently, there's people out there calling that misogynistic.
Ooh, misogyny.
He said,
love me some misogyny.
Well, he said he called her a nasty woman. And they called it misogynistic. Well, let me tell you something. She is a woman. It's called. He said it's called words. It's called English. Oh, dude, I'm telling you, he went off.
She's a woman, and she is nasty.
I think he did. She is nasty. And let me tell you something else, Mr. Producer.
Especially if that story about Yoko Ono is true.
Oh, gosh. Do we have to report on that? We probably should, shouldn't we?
Dude, you got a little too excited about that one.
Really should.
There's a congressman who went on CNN to try to tell it like it is. And this is what happened. At minute 19, will shock you.
To the extent that character comes up tonight, Congressman Collins, what do you think Donald Trump needs to do to come out on top?
Well, on the character issue, the public, 2/3 or more of the public know that Hillary Clinton's a liar. Mm-hmm. She can't be trusted. And now the two faces of Hillary Clinton are coming out. The fact through WikiLeaks that she says one thing and...
Oh, no. All right, let's see if we can get Congressman Collins back. Obviously, he just lost his satellite feed. That sucks.
In fact, through WikiLeaks that she says one thing...
One more time.
Okay, that beep you're hearing is the screen that you get when you lose the feed. The multicolored, So this was on CNN, and he was trying to just tell it how it is about Hillary. And he was being brutal. He was being tough on her. And the CNN guy just grabbed the wire, the cable, and just yanked it. And then tried to play off. And by the way, you got to see the look on his face. It was the worst acting job I have ever seen. He goes, oh, man, I guess we lost his feed.
We lost the feed.
Satellite feed.
That sucks.
Well, that sucks. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was the worst acting job ever. He knew that either he personally or his producer took both hands around that cable and wrapped it around the wrists a couple times and just ripped it right out of it.
Pull it as hard as you can. Pull it for good luck. Just rip that thing right out.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened.
Good times.
So shameless.
Oh, absolutely shameless. Hey, how about that? You want to hit that question real quick from Megyn Kelly? Accidental drive-by of journalism.
Did you get that one? Did you get all the sound bites I sent you? I'm just curious because that one. I can get to it.
You want Frank Luntz?
Oh, we got to get Frank Luntz. My gosh, that's a
the first half or the second half?
Well, both halves have some good, juicy stuff. The first half's really juicy.
All right, we'll do the first one. Here we go.
And we turn now to Republican consultant and CBS News contributor Frank Luntz, who is coming to us from Chicago this morning. Frank, I want to start on this question of voter fraud. Donald Trump has been talking about it. There was also a video released this week from Project Veritas that showed a Democratic strategist talking about busing people Is that why, with that kind of video footage, is that why Republicans come out in such big numbers thinking the election's going to be stolen?
Republicans have felt this ever since Rudy Giuliani's campaign in 1989 and again in 1993.
All right, stop it right there. I just said this is a very minor point. I don't know why he said that.
That's unbelievable.
I'm telling you, I've been following this really closely. I'm a Republican. He says Republicans have felt this way. Let me tell you something. I've been a Republican since 2000. All right, I'm gonna tell you right now. We always worried and wondered about it, but we didn't think it was real. We really didn't. We never.
Well, we didn't think
it was
real to this extent. We never could have imagined that it was in millions of votes.
Even in 2012, where we thought indicators look like Romney's got to win this, people were very unhappy with the direction of our country, and then our sitting president gets reelected. It just didn't seem real. Oh, and we were coming straight off of the landslide of 2010,
right? And more
the Tea Party just exploded.
And more people voted in certain areas than even lived there.
Yeah, so we were definitely concerned about it. But at the end of the day, we didn't feel like it was even possible that voter fraud alone could be enough to swing an entire election. So for him to say, "Oh, Republicans have always thought this ever since 1990." Did he say 1993? No, people, no, shut up.
That's dumb. That's just dumb.
I wish I had that Sister Mary Elephant. All right. So anyway.
There's always been the concern that particularly in urban America, people who shouldn't be voting or people are voting more than once. But the problem, John, is that it is a poison. It is toxic. And this feeling that the electoral system is rigged, the more that grows, the more impossible it will be after this election to govern. And
All right. Listen. Frank.
I just played you the clip of Obama calling it rigged in 2007. We're fine with the governing.
What is he really saying here? He's saying that we need to allow for the voter fraud, because if we make a big stink about voter fraud, we're going to be ungovernable.
Yeah. Oh, we are.
You know what, Frank Luntz? You could take that voter fraud and shove it up your rear end, because that's terrible.
That's awful. Awful.
You can't sit there and say that it's our concern of voter fraud that is poisoning the election system. How about actual voter fraud on a national scale from a party who's in charge being caught on tape? That's the poison. Don't sit there and tell me
we're the poison.
That reacting to tapes proving voter fraud is the poison.
No, Kerry, you're poisonous. Kerry, you and I are poisoning the water in Michigan
by opposing this.
Right.
By raising a stink over of catching them red-handed.
Right, caught.
Unbelievable that he would say this.
So if you and I caught a bank robber and started yelling at him, we caught him, oh, it's our fault. We're the poison.
Well,
not the guy who did the crime.
People are worried about their money being stolen from the bank if you let them know that there's bank robbers there stealing it.
Right, so you don't want them to know there's bank robbers. Got to keep the bank robbery quiet so the people stay quiet.
Yes.
I tell you, I've been studying this now for 25 years, and I've never seen a higher percentage of Americans who are prepared to completely toss out Washington, toss out Wall Street. They have no faith in the media, no faith in the institutions that run us. And then how do you bring people together to work together when all of these connections have been frayed?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you how you bring them together and start getting them to trust you again. Stop lying to us.
This audio right here, listening to it for a second time, has caught me so infuriated.
Stop with the stealing. Stop with the lying. Stop with the corruption. If you guys would stop doing that, we would start having faith in you again. And yes, we're ready to toss the entire system out because you guys are evil. Period. I mean, what else is there to say?
There is nothing else to say. There really is nothing else.
Do you even have anything else to say about this?
Let me take the timeline back a little bit before we think about after the election. What about right now? You talk about this poison When voters hear the election's going to be stolen, and then if Donald Trump loses, what's your sense, having spent so much time talking to voters, what's your sense of their reaction?
He said, did he just say when Donald Trump loses?
That's what he said. They all are lying to us.
Let me see if I can get that again. Hold on. Let me see if I can get that again.
Yeah, back that up a little bit.
Donald Trump loses, what's your sense, before we think about after the election? What about right now? You talk about this poison. When voters hear the election's going to be stolen, and then if Donald Trump loses, what's your sense, having spent so much time talking to voters, what's your sense of their reaction?
Well, I've been to 26 states now. I'll probably make it to 30 before the election's over. And it means that there is no coming together. And I think it's going to be very challenging for the GOP because you've got some Trump voters who are unwilling to vote for a Republican for Senate or Congress as a way to send a message to the establishment. And you've got some independents who want to vote Republican for the Senate and the House but won't because they're too connected to Donald Trump. With only 17 days to go, I've not seen an election like this where there's so much inter-party battles going on at a time when the Republicans should be focused on the Democrats and prosecuting the case against their leadership.
So
I'm done
he's
with that
making the case.
I'm so done with that.
He made the case that independents who want to vote for Republicans on the down ballot
won't.
Not only will they not vote for Trump because they don't want to. He's making the case that there are people that exist out there who like to vote for Republicans on the down ballot that, number one, will not vote for Trump, but also won't vote for the Republican because they think that Republican is connected to Donald Trump. These people don't exist. He just made that up out of thin air. They don't exist. If they're willing to vote for Republicans on the down ballot, they're definitely going to vote for Trump. If they're willing to vote for Trump, they're going to vote for probably Republicans on the down ballot.
He also made the case that the thing that is dividing us as a whole and will not ever allow us to govern again.
Come together. We can't come together.
Is Trump. At the very end, he's insinuating that it's Trump that will not allow us. That will not allow us. Well, yeah, because it's exposing. It goes back. I'll tell you what. We stumbled upon an incredibly awesome analogy. Coincidentally, because we do this all the time. Even when we're not on the air, we come up with crazy, nonsensical stuff. But this one works. The bank robber.
Okay.
We caught the bank robber. Here he is. Citizens arrest. Whoa.
You're just now realizing that the establishment sent the bank robber to go do this, and you just interfered with it.
Whoa. How dare you? You're so poisonous, telling the citizens that their money's being stolen by a bank robber, and it happens all the time.
This bank robber works for the police.
Oh my goodness! You are so poisonous with your tinfoil hats and your crazies.
Dude, this is not going to work. It's just like them calling us racist, which is
a liar.
Thank you, Judge.
Just like calling us a racist is going to cause us to really turn out and rebel against them. We're sick and tired of getting called racist. We're sick and tired now. And I'm going to tell you, you could listen back to Brian and us way back in the day, a couple years ago, when we were very reluctant to hop onto conspiracy theories, right?
I still am very reluctant because the things we're jumping on now that were conspiracy theories,
it's
real. True.
They're real. They're totally true. And
contrails, go on Twitter. You can see contrails. It says vote for Trump in the air.
Clearly, the government is sending a message. Oh my gosh, they're poisoning us.
It was near Disneyland down in Florida.
I know what it is. So this is what's happening. The government knows that if they write "vote for Trump" with their poisonous contrails in the sky, that Trump supporters will flock to it to get closer to take pictures and stuff. And it's just going to poison them.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Because when I see Trump and smoke in the sky, I want to run underneath it to be closer to him.
Right. Well, you want to take pictures. And
stuff. Yeah.
So those people are going to get it.
So if you're in Disneyland, give us a call if you're still alive.
No, it kills you slowly. They don't want to let you on.
real quick.
Okay, good. We need to get off that.
Okay, yeah, the debate.
Yeah.
If you ever thought Hillary Clinton was unqualified.
But here's the deal. The bottom line on nuclear weapons is that
she started this line of questioning.
When the president gives the order, it must be followed. There's about 4 minutes between the order being given and the people responsible for launching nuclear weapons to do so.
What?
Okay, so that is highly classified.
I didn't know. Nobody knows that.
Mark Levin. I was listening to Mark Levin. Did you know that Mark Levin worked for Ronald Reagan?
Yes, I did.
Okay, he
Yes, I
was
did.
in the Ronald Reagan administration. He said, and by the way, this is like the very crescent of the Cold War. All right. So this was a very, very worrisome time for people who were thinking about, hey, what if this happens? What if we go to war with the Soviet Union and it ends up a nuclear exchange? And it was just nonstop, right? So this is stuff that was on everybody's mind during that time, right?
Right.
Mark Levin said, I had no idea. I never heard of that.
What?
I've never heard.
No.
He said, I have never heard the
time frame. How long?
And if you know anything about the Cuban Missile Crisis,
right?
Those Minutemen rockets and some of the short-range missiles that were being put in Cuba by Russia, they were discussing in the movie 13 Days and also subsequently in all kinds of documentaries that you could watch, the time frame that you have to respond to those launches. All that was highly classified. Nobody was ever privy to that. This is high level behind all of that, everything. So this 4-minute response time for between the time of the order by the president and the time that they're actually launched would be at the highest levels of classification.
I'm shocked.
It would be top secret.
No, she started this. Like, she went off the. She clearly
she was trying
went
to
off
say,
the rails.
She was trying to say we need a president that has a temperament that isn't as dangerous as Donald Trump. That's the thing she was trying. And she exposed the most secret thing that I know of, that I can think of, in the U.S. government, in the military, in our defense system, to the world, in order to make that case. This woman is unfit to be in the White House.
And it goes hand in hand with Burns' book, Crisis of Character. This isn't like an accidental slip of the lip. She's been doing this for 30 years.
Right. If you read the book, he talks about how there were classified documents in offices which would have classified documents in them. All these offices have a safe in them that you are required to put all the classified documents in before you leave. And he said that almost every single day when everybody went home after work, Secret Service had to go room to room pulling classified documents off of desks and putting them in the safe for these people. These are people that would be cabinet members, staff, presidential staff, and all that, who were hired by Bill Clinton himself or his chief of staff.
Hey, what about the launch codes?
Oh, by the way,
is that top secret or stuff?
Oh, yeah. Well, of course, a lot of people may not know this. Maybe so. People listening probably may know this, that the president has to have launch codes on his persons at all times.
Okay.
And there were times where he had to whisper to some of his Secret Service personnel that he doesn't have them on him and he doesn't know where they are.
So where did they find them? Where did he keep them?
Well, they were in his coat. Like they were in a pocket in his coat.
Right. Wrapped up with credit cards and a rubber band.
Yeah, that did happen once. That did happen.
And lost the whole bundle.
That, and I think he may have sent his coat to the cleaners once with the launch codes in them.
And then the Asians get the codes in China.
Whoa, that is so intolerant. What are you talking about? Oh, Brian's over here losing it now.
An ancient Chinese secret.
Oh, that's palm olive.
Is it?
Yeah.
How you get so clean? Ancient Chinese secret.
Yeah. You don't have that queued up?
Oh, the dishes. Clean
The dishes.
dishes.
Yeah.
Right.
How do you get your hands so soft?
That's what it was. Oh, Lord.
All right, so getting back to it. No, that's not the worst part. The worst part is he didn't have the launch codes, and they were unsecure in an unknown location for hours and hours. And the reason it was so long was because he didn't want to tell anybody that he accidentally did this. So he kept it secret until finally he was running around all over the White House trying to figure out where they were by himself. He didn't want to tell anybody. Finally, when he realized he probably wasn't going to find them, he would go over to the boss man of the Secret Service and say, I need you. This is exactly what he would say. I need you to keep this really quiet. Seriously, I'm not kidding.
Don't tell anybody.
Don't tell anybody. This is just between you and me, but I need your help. The lunch codes are missing. Oh, sir, did you just lose them? What's around here? What happened? Turns out, no, they've been gone for hours.
Oh, let's backtrack your steps. Yeah, well, we got to backtrack 6 hours of my steps.
Folks, we got a Trump landslide coming, and we have proven it here on Smith Radio. So go out there and vote. Take your friends with you. Follow us on Twitter. It's at Smith Radio. And on Facebook, Smith Radio, SMYTH.
Best 3 hours you'll spend anywhere in your entire life, folks.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.